Welcome. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank Thompson of the Winners and Losers program, the only source on the internet for news about Hank Thompson. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. Check out the last episode with my friend James Fritz from the Chicago comedy scene when we started out doing the comedy shows together and stuff. Well, he was already ahead of me. We talk about a bunch of that. I love the man. We have a funny relationship. I hope it's funny, because we're kind of mean to each other, and I hope it's like a mutual respect comedian thing instead of like a blood feud that will sizzle and cook for the rest of our cursed existences. So next time I talk to him, though, I'm going to be like, I need to know that we're playing around, because I'm autistic and I don't really, I just don't want to cross lines, because I don't need to stress about this shit. I got enough fucking stuff to think about, like a cat and like in the future and stuff. So anyway, I love James. So happy to have him on. His mic was goofy, not his mic, but like I think the Discord was cutting off his voice a bit. It was not too bad, but yeah. So give it a, oh, it's on screen right there. Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, give it a look. James Fritz. Check out the other videos and shit. It took me forever to get this episode, this last one done, because I did a bunch of, I tried to do this like window thingy. I could fix this up, but it's like 12 clips out of it. The Donahue one, oh my God, 49 views. The Chris Hayes one, 115 views. A Guy Reacts, that's one of my special segments, 126. Sahan Piker video got 168 views. That's probably the lowest video that with his name in it in the history of videos. Beautiful little, yeah, there's that little documentary chunk that I quite like in that. I need to like make that its own thing. That'll probably get like 100 million views. And then of course, as always, not as always, but Cenk Uygur, David Sirota video where they talk about like, you know, giving people benefits at their jobs and stuff. And then of course, I go into some of the details. Some of the stuff, if you're familiar with my shit, you'll know what I'm talking about. We'll get back to that. I got a little bit of Cenk news in this one too, but it's not about the beef. It's not about the beef. It's about something else that I just found kind of striking. So welcome for tuning in. Strange word I just said there. Not even a word. That was a sentence. It's me again. What was I saying? This is my second take, so I'm trying to get back to, oh yeah, I'm bald. Did you see it? Did you notice how different I look? Was it a little jarring if you'd gotten used to me wearing a hat? Yeah, I know. I'm doing it on purpose. I buzzed it, getting ready for the show. Buzzed off, or, you know, like, or, you know, shaved down what's left of my beard here. And just wanted to kind of let the chrome fly a little bit. Let the glare snare rock your world. Let the shine dine on my shine. What am I doing? Yes, I'm very bald, but it's I went at 19 is when I went bald. Not like all at once. I didn't wake up suddenly bald, but I did remember that's when it started to be like the receding the corners, and I was like, and I could see the hairs on my pillow, and you know. Yeah. So, I just imagined a whole bunch of, yeah, okay, sorry. I was just, yeah. All right. Something like whatever. Okay. Gulliver's Travels, but like a bunch of little creatures pull my hairs out all at once. That's fucked up. That's a freaky thought. Yeah. So, very, stressful to go bald, just to validate that process for people out there that are struggling with their hair. Is it thins? Is how much we assign our worth, our value, our sense of self to the way we present to the world, the way we feel comfortable being in our body, and hair is a form of communication in our societies in a lot of ways. I had really settled into being comfortable being bald. You know, it's a stressful process overall, but not bad. You know, like I used to do a bunch of jokes about it. About the only benefit about being bald is about 15 minutes of decent stand-up comedy. And yeah, like one of the things, this is not really even funny, but like I would talk about this though, like going bald is worse than being bald. You know, it's like the difference between a scar and a wound. You know, chicks don't dig guys with wounds, but they do dig guys with scars. So it's kind of like that. Basically, that's it. That's it. Yeah, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You should be jealous of me, though, because your head is not this pretty. One thing I had settled into with my my situation, and now I'm going bald again with my beard falling out and whatever, is my fucking head is beautiful. I have like a skull that NASA would be jealous of. You know what I'm saying? This thing is fucking beautiful. My mom must have had the biggest cervix when I was born. Holy moly, did I get lucky with that one. That was great. It's great when you peak at birth. That's always a sad What was your best moment in life? Moment I was born because my mom's cervix didn't squeeze my head to look like a Civil War bull. That's what happened. Why are my lips all slimy all of a sudden? Yeah. So, you know, I do love my bald head. Honestly, I had been quite. I literally spend on average. You spend about $20 every 10 years on my hair when I was bald. Before, well, not when I was, but before when I was only single level bald. Now that I'm losing the rest of my body hair somehow or whatever, you can even see it a little bit on the side here, but I did buzz it down. So yeah, just drink it in, get fucking jealous. It's fun to rub. It's warm. It's got like texture. And as the hair grows out, it gets kind of like different texture, you know, a little bit softer and stuff. It's a little bit, yeah, it's nice. It's really quite okay. It's really fine. What am I doing? We got a lot of good stuff on the show today. I have stories galore. Not really. It's been like 3 weeks, and I'm just working on other stuff. Working on TYT things. We're going to share a little bit from the article. I don't have a ton to get into super big, but yeah. So a judge got murdered by a sheriff in Letcher County, which is crazy. It's just a completely wild story. We're going to watch a bit of Kamala Harris on Oprah. I didn't even click on anything. I just have the video loaded to play, and we'll see what happens. Something will happen. I'll say some shit. That's the only thing I can guarantee. What did I already say? I had the Cenk Uygur thingy already? I think I did, because this is my second take. I can't remember. But anyway, Cenk Uygur was on with Eric Prince, and this is not even about my beef with TYT. Until they talk about it, it's kind of a one-sided thing, but I am eager for them to finally come forward and say something about their former worker making a documentary about how they're not a credible media company because they lied about their own workers. You'd think that would be something they would want to talk about, but we'll get into that when we jump over to that topic. But it's not even about that so much as about the Eric Prince on Piers Morgan. It was just crazy. He's just like, yeah, I just found this one thing really, really, really nuts. And yeah, a couple things. Oh, Matt Walsh said you should work when you're sick. He said you're, but so we're going to talk about that. Matt Walsh is one of the world's foremost effort masters. He knows what it means to be a real man and a real funny man. True. He's got a very nice beard, actually. The guy's got a good, thick, high density, high follicle per cubic centimeter. And I said centimeter to trigger the cons. You know how they like to trigger the libs? Well, if you mention the metric system, it will melt their fucking brains. It's weird to be loyal to the standard English or whatever. What do we call it? Where we measure the king's foot. Honestly, Donald Trump could come out and say, my foot will be the new foot. And they would be like, yeah, we should make his foot. We should go back to that time when they changed the unit of measurement. No, but seriously, that's not a good transition to this next thought, but a fascinating rabbit hole if you're kind of engineering inclined like me. I know you wouldn't trust me with a pen and a compass. Do they use compasses? Is that a navigate? Yeah, they do. Yeah, you draw circles constantly when you're an engineer. I have like an engineering head, thus the meticulousness of it all. But a great rabbit hole is look up YouTube videos about the origins of precision and measurement and tool accuracy. It's kind of fascinating because there's this, at some point they had to standardize units of measurement so that when you made a item in Pennsylvania, it had to match the exact distance that the item in Missouri that was going to, maybe the screw holes had to, shit like that. For a long time, they didn't have a standard unit of measurement, and there's a whole history to that, including the way that you can, like, nothing can ever be as accurate as the original tool that was created, that it was used to create it. And that means that they make these like really flat tables or something. It's crazy. It's fun. It's a fun rabbit hole. It's a good time. It's a good time. Forgo your church, forgo your social life, and stay home and watch that. So what do we got here? I want to put a hat on, though. Honestly, I don't feel comfortable without my hat. It does block a lot of light, which is genuinely. Can I put it without lifting off the headphones? There it is. There we go. All right, that's fun. That's good. Oh, it's good. Got some camouflage here to let you know that if I hold real still, you'll slowly not be able to see me. Yes, so good energy today. We're doing a Saturday morning podcast recording. Let's see. Before I jump over into this stuff, and we're not gonna. This is still in rough draft form. There's a few chunks in here that are just sort of like roughed out. I mean, it's very close. I did put in some hours of work on it finally, but I just kind of wanted to get into, oh yeah, a couple stories. This is it. We'll go back to this one here for a sec. In my own life, these aren't depressing stories. I mean, I can depress you if you want. Oh, speaking of that, go to patreon.com/winnersandlosers. It's free. I did an audio only episode. I called it Just Talking, which I don't like that name, but that's what you'll be able to find it. And if it's in the future, I might have renamed it, but it's Just Talking, where I don't bother with this goddamn camera, all these lights, all the cameras. The Shrimp Squad camera's not working right now. I got to think about my beard, my face. I just want to be able to turn the camera on and spill my goddamn face out into the microphone. It's such an easier system for keeping my variables down. I need lower variables, aka get rid of the cat. I have a cat. A cat is a source of predictable and random variables that completely stresses me out. Anyway, working on that this week. I'm going to really push hard on it, at least make another try to see if the Facebook people will. If you want a cat, it's a wonderful cat. And also just to try to sell it a little bit. I mean, doing a YouTube channel about socialist politics and news and union labor stuff is probably not the best way to find someone to adopt a cat. But, well, first offer is you'll get to see me cry, because I won't be able to handle the emotions. So I'll have to do some, sorry, I'm crying, out in public, or, you know, if your house is considered public, you know, baby. Like, and I will definitely cry. I'm just starting to tear up just thinking about it. I just want to get rid of it. I can't. Okay. How much more can I complain about it? It'll be I'll be so proud to finally be done with it. And I also hope that I could get somebody that will, like, give me updates, like every year, you know, whatever. Like, hey, she's doing great. Look at this picture of her. She's cute. And I'm like, awesome. That wasn't worth 2 years of horrible strain, but I'm still glad I did it. I'm still glad we did it. I owe my roommate like $800 for vet bills for the cat. Okay. Oh, here's the thing. I wanted to do this on camera. I should make, it occurs to me that I could probably make $1 trillion on TikTok doing this. Oddly satisfying. Okay. Sorry for the audio listeners. This is not great content. I'm holding a cat brush. And this one has a cool little button that pushes the hairs off the things. It's this little, like, recessed spring-loaded thingy that kind of lets all the hairs loose. So we're going to go real close. Let's not fuck this up. In fact, I could mat it down here. Also, all this cat hair, this is very insulating. This would make a great small pillow, or maybe a bird could use it for bird activities, like insulating their nests so that their young could be disgusting and gross. And they eat bugs. So here we go. This is beautiful, oddly satisfying. Get ready. How do I get, what's a good angle here? That's probably, I don't know, straight on fine. What's good? Is this good podcasting? Better fucking believe it is. All right, ready? Here we go. Oh, shit, hold on. I'm just trying to hold it still enough that I don't fuck it up. Oh, yeah. Oh, fell off. See, it's totally clear. Well, there's a little bit, but look at that. Now I have a soap-shaped puck of cat hair. Oh. I had to fight off an impulse to put this in my mouth. Because anything for a laugh, but this would be like, I think that might be trouble. Could you imagine choking to death on that? And they'd be like, what? How did it get in there? And then they'd find OBS still recording. Or they'd find like a 16-hour, you know, like video of it. My roommate would not knock on he's very respectful. Like, he would definitely not inquire as to why he hasn't seen me for several days. He might, I mean, he would eventually is what I'm saying, but it's not like a day or two. Like, it'd probably be like 4 days. Maybe, because we text fairly, so he might be like, he hasn't responded and I don't hear anything, you know, I haven't seen him, so he might eventually. But the conditions for him to, like, crack open my door without him, like, letting me know, because he doesn't, you know, he backs, you know, he, like, almost to a fucking cat hairs are flying around now. Let me put them back on the brush here, though. Let's get it back on there. It's doesn't really work. Fuck. I'm just god damn it. Okay. All right. All right. Anyway, yeah, I would be a real stinky corpse, I guess is all I was saying there. I really hope that doesn't happen. Single people die of choking. Single people die of back cancer. Among the reasons we should build a world where it's easier to not be a screwball who is unlovable. In other words, we should all have girlfriends and boyfriends who say, hey, let me check your back for cancer. Oh, okay, looks like we're good. You know, I might have a big old thing going on. I don't know. Can't see back there. Choking. I'll go bang on my roommate's door while I'm choking and hope that he like is around or whatever, you know? Like that's about all I got. But if you live with people, you're less likely to die of choking. I just think it's important that we point that out. The cost of being not single and lonely, but they built a world where all atomized, right? People live alone. People have settled into their loneliness or settled into just sort of being, you know, maybe they've removed themselves from the dating pool for very good reasons. Often I see a lot of those TikTok ladies complaining about the dudes and I relate to it. I'm like, man, I think I'm one of those good guys in the world. I'm just because I'm funny and I cook a lot. I make edible roasting racks. What does that mean? What does that mean, Hank? What does that mean? Oh shit. Here we go. Look, let me show you this. Let me show you. I got some photos here. This is just, I love talking so much. God damn it. Why don't I just do this every day? Ready? This is not going to blow your mind. Okay. Look. Pan of veggies. Totally blown out with the light. It's not even, let me lower the light. Maybe it'll look better. Oh shit. There. Pan of veggies. Oh, that looks pretty good. Pan of veggies. Broccoli, onion chunks, big chunky onions. Easy to cut, maybe 6 or 7, as opposed to when you're trying to dice, you know, you gotta get it real slight. And I have been, you know, I always talk about my weight. I have a good frame, but I'm carrying some pear. I'm doing some pear-shaped life these days, eating my feelings a bit too much, relying on that as an outlet because it's the one source of predictable joy most of us have in our life. That's why I think like getting rid of meat is going to be such a difficult lift. I love meat. I eat a lot of meat, but like food is just like, oh, people will have an easier time like saying no to meat if life is more peaceful and joyful in other arenas. I'm saying, and like in other words, it's a really, I just fucking love a big old hot dog, a steak, anything. I'm a big old one of those guys. Oh, and in fact, we got some chicken pictures here. So anyway, here's my thing. I hate metal roasting racks. Metal, okay, first of all, if you're new to cooking, if you're new, when you cook chicken in an oven on a foil or on a sheet pan or whatever, baking pan, cookie pan, whatever you call it, it's good to use foil. You can get silicone pads. I don't know if you'll use that for meat, but the meat will sit in its juices. You can cook it. It's fine. It's edible, but it gets soggy. It kind of gets a little gross in its own juicy. So what a roasting, oh, my wrist. So what a roasting pan does, roasting rack elevates it so that the air can circulate around and you can get a better cook if you especially time it properly, or, you know, measure the temperature. I use a digital thermometer because I'm not a professional, but that's a very good way to make sure you don't overcook. It's easy to screw that up, obviously. But I like it. I like it so keep it out of the juices because I like getting crispy chicken skin, and so you want to elevate. This is super simple, super straightforward. I did not invent this, but I'm just trying to be an advocate for it, is that cooking at home, use big old chunky vegetables, and this is my roasting rack. All those veggies, okay? Big old chunks of broccoli. I also like I said, you don't have to be real careful about how you cut it up. They didn't have, yeah, my body thing. What am I, 20 minutes into this fucking thing and I haven't even done a single story? It's going to be a 4-hour show. I have done pretty well with low carb eating. And I've gone down the keto rabbit hole a good bit, and I'm persuaded by a lot of the science behind understanding how diabetes functions and the hormone insulin works within your body. We can go into that some other day. You know, we did not evolve with the amount of carbohydrates that exist in our current consumption environment. Anyway, the point is, though, like it's worked really well for me in the past, and I'm sort of trying to switch over to that because I need to fit back into my clothes, such as this shirt, which I haven't worn in a while. I think I've lost a few pounds actually. And, carrots would be kind of a higher glycemic index food if you're really going for super low carb, but it's a vegetable. The carrots are tasty. They're good. And so I'm allowing myself to have carrots you know, because they add some sweetness to the dish. And they're just tasty. I like a carrot. I'm a good, you know, carrot, onion, celery. We call that mirepoix in the dating pool. That's one of those things I'd say when I brought over some mirepoix ingredients to your house so that we could watch season 2 of The Good Place. Wouldn't that be fun? Have you ever wanted to date a guy who's funnier than your ex? Huh? I'm funnier than everybody's ex. I'm funnier than your current fucking boyfriend. I'm funnier than your husband. I'm funnier than at least half the comedians. That's an insult. I think I'm average. I'm an average comedian. What am I doing? What's happening now? I'm so excited. Oh, onions, carrots. They didn't have regular shit people carrots. Disgusting. There's the bin of carrots that are like, they've got the bundles of orange, and then you've got the random slop carrots, the stuff they would throw at a dead pig or at a dying pig in hopes to see if it was still alive, you know? And that's the carrots I like. I get those carrots. They're good. They're fine. You know, they're cheap ones. How can you fuck it up a carrot? I mean, I'm sure they're probably all filled with like poisons and plastics and nuclear waste and stuff and pesticides and who knows what else. But they didn't have those. And I was all determined to get my carrot. But they had the organic section. I don't make organic fucking money. I don't make any money. I'm barely surviving off the generosity of it's not working great. I'm lucky enough to be able to buy food. And so I was like, but I got to cook this meal here. And I'm cooking a big old thing of chicken, right? So I decide, okay, I can buy the organic carrots. And they're the colored ones. They're the colored ones. You see? Look, get it there. Let's zoom in on it so you can see them. Of course, there was an orange one. All right. Okay. Then there's the yellow. Right? See the yellow there? Good. Yellow's a good color for a carrot. I think that's kind of fun. And then there's the third color, which I describe as gross. There's orange, yellow, and gross. What the fuck? Why can't I hold it still? It's doing so good before. You can see it right there. Looks like a fleshy finger. Really, honestly, beige. I had to pay more money for beige? You should give me money to take your beige carrot from your fucking store, okay? Where's the purple carrot? Pink, I would accept, but I would be a little suspicious. But purple would be awesome. I know they make purple cauliflower, which I would also bring over to your house so we could watch season 3 of The Good Place as we cuddle on the couch. And I say to you, do you think socialism do you think socialism's ever going to be a thing in our life? Did you know Thomas Jefferson raped his slaves in his bedroom? Well, that's the sort of stuff I'll say to you while we have a date. And then the oven will go bing, and we'll have carrots. I should just end the show. I don't think it's going to get better from this, so you might as well just tune out. But yeah, big chunky veggies, carrots and onions and celeries, and then let's switch it over. Okay, this is fine. I did 2 pans, 2 old pans. You get a shot of my oven there. Okay, 2 pans. See it? Boom. Awesome. Chicken. Raw chicken. Sorry, it's beige. Yeah, I know, but you know we're working on it. I'm like running out of spices, so I'm gonna be buying some more spices. But I do a big mix and kind of the fun trick is to have 2 equally sized bowls form a sphere that have like a lip that you can hold and just shake it all around. That's a great way to distribute your spices. So you don't. I mean, you can do it however you want, but you know that's just I just kind of for some reason I kind of like that. So 400 degrees. See that on the oven there? It says 400. You can vary that a little bit, I guess. But yeah, so now I'm using the veggies to keep the chicken off the foil so I don't get soggy chicken and I don't have to clean a metal roasting rack. I don't want to clean your goddamn my goddamn cleaning a roasting rack is so annoying. Leave a comment if you know what I'm talking about. The little bits, it's impossible to clean if you're anal about making sure it's really clean like I am. You could just leave the chunky bits on there, I guess. So then here we go, out of the oven. Oh man, look at these brown. And I did a couple different spice combos here. I think a few of these are just salt and pepper. Always a great classic. You never can really go wrong with just straight up salt and pepper. Fresh cracked pepper, by the way, which is also something I will bring over to your house or luxury apartment on our date to watch season 4 of The Good Place. At which I will say to you, did you know that it's actually really difficult to land on the moon? It's India and Japan and European space agencies have been having a hard time. A few of them have done it because there's water on the southern pole of the moon. I'm working on a thing about space capitalism, guys. Space capitalism. Guess what? Guess what? The demons who run our society, Earth's not enough for them. It's not. They want the metal that's out in those asteroids. They want the stuff that's out there in the rest of the place. And they want the government to give them all the money that they're going to need to make themselves rich, pretending to know what they're doing. Fucking Elon Musk. Don't get me started on that guy, okay? We're not going to Mars. We're going to drop off. We're going to litter that planet with some very smart corpses. Some smart people are going to die on Mars. That's my prediction. The logistics are so insane to get to Mars, just to survive the trip there. It's a long way off. And the only way humanity will ever explore the solar system, we have this glorious solar system to explore, and I do want humanity to reach outside its home planet, and I do think it's amazing that we can do that, but it's not going to be because of capitalism. It's going to be in spite. We have to defeat capitalism and live in harmony with the planet and unleash the ingenuity and the brilliance of the human collective to actually do this in a way where we can make it work. And we can do that, but it ain't going to be because we give money to capitalists. No way. We're not surviving Earth long enough to do that. They want to do it, and they probably will get to some degree of this where they can escape the planet that they're wrecking, and we're just okay with that. We're just okay with seeing the pilot of the plane putting on a parachute and just like, well, the pilot really wants to go off the plane. I might as well just all die while they escape. Fuck that. I'm against it. All right. This has been the worst way I've ever podcasted. Oh, did I even show you the chicken? Look how brown it is. It's perfect. I think I nailed it with this batch. I really did. This chicken, the skin comes off. Sorry to get real gross here, but it's like crunchy, but not all crunchy, not overdone. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Oh my God. We will have such a good time at your apartment. I'll even bring over matching sweatpants for both of us, or pajama bottoms if that's what you prefer. I don't know how comfortable you would be with being so informal, but season 5 of The Good Place, while eating chicken skins, freshly roasted on some purple carrots. Come on, ladies, hit me up. Fucking horniness. I hate being horny. Fucking scam. Okay. So yeah, anyway, what did I do here? I showed you pictures on my phone of this delicious chicken thing. Oh yes, you know, some of the broccoli will get like a little burnt maybe, and it'll get a kind of like it's not the most like that shit show up on camera there. No, okay. It's not but it roasts the veggies. The veggies soak up all the meat, all the juices and the spice and the flavor and stuff. And so you have delicious veggies. The carrots are beautifully cooked. You get a nice little caramelized bottom on them. Some of the onions had beautiful, you know, but you get a variety of, you know, roasted veggies, man. And then if you're sensitive about texture or maybe the broccoli being slightly burnt in some of the parts that were exposed, well, just deal with it or don't eat it. That's okay too. You don't have to eat that. Couple of quick stories. Well, how am I supposed to? Okay, I'll save the letter story for later. I've already complained about. Okay, I'll save both stories. I'll just do the letter story now. There's really nothing to this. I kind of want to let it rip a lot, but if I do it in a hurry, it's not that much of a story. I'm doing dishes. I'm at the sink, which isn't too far away from where like our door is, right? I hear knocking. I'm like, oh no, fuck, no, someone's at the door. So I take out my gun. No, I don't. That's insane. That's the most American response. Someone's at the door. Get the gun. What a great society. What kind of fucking rotten society is like that? But you know, it's fine. I'm like, okay, shit. Oh, maybe my roommate's expecting a delivery or whatever. So I kind of like give it a beat to sort of, because he's usually like coming down the stairs if he's, you know, and I'm like, no, and knocking. And I'm like, okay, fine. I look out the window. It seems to be my neighbor, this person who lives near this old lady, lived near her for a long time. And she says, I got one of your, I got, oh, good, you're home. She goes, I got a thing for you. It's from you. So it's like mail. She's got something from the mail that was for me. And this happens in buildings. You know, someone gets a neighbor's mail somehow accidentally in the wrong box, maybe. I've had it happen in my place. It's kind of annoying. I gotta go like keep track of it. Be like, hey, are you around? I can give you your letter. And she goes and she grabs it and she comes over and she gives it to me real quick. And then she kind of walks away really fast. Not that she's a big stop and chat person, but I was a bit like, and what she hands me is a letter from my family that's handwritten. It has a handwritten, like it's very clearly from a handwritten like thing, not like some other letter. And she had opened it. She opened it. She tore it down the middle, yet didn't tear what was inside of it. So maybe she just has her own technique for like tearing it and opening it. So, but like she didn't ruin what was inside, thankfully, because it was something I needed desperately. She fucking opened a letter that was sent to someone else in her building. And she was nice enough to come over and give it to me. But I was like, maybe that's why she was like walked away so fast, because it was like weird for, because I didn't want to like, well, like part of me wanted to be like, what the fuck? Why did you open it? What's this about? When is that okay? You don't open your neighbor's mail. You can't. I mean, I guess you could say, well, it was in my mailbox. That means I get to open. Like, what? You don't open someone's mail. But what would have confronting her about it have done? What good would that have done? Hey, what's this all about? It just meant it would have been more tense around the building. It's insane. She opened. It was so clean. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, that's not that interesting. I do have a great story about cat piss, but I'm gonna make a note here. Okay, we'll do it next time. All right. Thanks for dialing in, everybody. 30 minutes in, and you've gained already some amazing cooking knowledge. You've gained some funny jokes. You know what I'm like to be your boyfriend. I will eventually have mental breakdowns. No, I don't actually. I miss being intimate, and I don't even mean like physically. I just miss human touch. Well, I guess that is physical. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's move it on. So anyway, this is the story of this article. I'm just going to kind of preview this briefly, since I'm going to hopefully have this up on Substack, baldontheinside.substack.com, coming up soon. You've already seen the article. All right. Yeah. You've already seen this one here behind the, oh, look, it's got 108 views. That's pretty cool. View the post. Behind the Facade, Why We Unionize at the Young Turks. This one goes real long. It's got a bunch of emotions and kind of interpretive stuff. So this is all about the Young Turks union busting situation that I was involved with. And then people are saying, all right, well, let's see the information, leave out the goddamn bullshit. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. So here's the one that's going to be about how I won't be full of shit. Because I don't, people want to make up their own mind. And I am making fairly substantial claims about the credibility of the Young Turks where I worked, because they lied about me and my friends on purpose in order to hide the employment conditions that drove us to unionize. That's why they lied. And, but I know that's true. However, I have to persuade people. And that also means people are going to interrogate my credibility, which is basically what the first 30 minutes of this podcast was about, because clearly I'm somebody who the world should take seriously. So but the point of this one is that like, I'm going to just put it all out there. I mean, I guess you could argue there's editorial, like everything kind of has like, but it's minimizing the bias. And I'm not trying to get super into, the interpretive stuff and the kind of confrontational antagonistic sort of posture that I have. All this crap about like all the days that I wasn't paid, I should have been paid, working 40-hour weeks when they call you part-time, all this stuff. And ultimately though, I'm going to, the point is here that this is what I was working on recently is, here we go. Email proof the union drive started before Cenk claimed. This is going to be rewritten. Like I said, rough draft here. Because what we're doing is we're comparing two versions of the story. So people who started the union sent Alex Thompson, a writer for Politico, for a piece he was doing that Cenk was also interviewed for, and he has many quotes from Cenk. They sent him emails to prove that we had been in touch with IATSE before Cenk started running for Congress. That's what this little segment is about. Here's Cenk's statement of organization when he filed his paperwork on November 13th. But we had begun contacting the union on November 5th. It actually does kind of line up a little close. In fact, our first meeting right here at my house was I don't want to say a number, but it was the Friday. I think it was the Friday of the same week that Cenk filed. So it was actually after Cenk started, which is kind of funny to me because if you believe TYT's version, then you have to think that he files for. Maybe we'll get back. Let's get back to that because you might be completely new to this. In which case, just hang in here. It'll all make sense. Don't worry. But what is also included is they sent him emails that show that the first time Young Turks workers, now I was not involved with this round, was a year before I got involved with the unionizing. The first time Young Turks workers reached out was over a different set of employment problems they were having in April of 2018, and they had email proof of that. And so they shared that with this reporter, Alex Thompson. And so I'm laying out all this information without trying to tell people how they're supposed to think about it. I mean, I am definitely going to be, there's plenty of stuff on my channel here for the biased and sort of opinionated stuff I have too. And so, but also included in this, in addition to me showing the working conditions I had, that I was, in order to get the job, I had to sign an independent contractor agreement. The person who held the job before me was an employee who got benefits. On Friday, it was an employee's job. On Monday, it was independent contractor. That's fucking bullshit. I would have been okay with it if it was for a couple of months, maybe. That would have been annoying, but fine. And then I complained. And meanwhile, I start unionizing. I deliberately woke up the union effort because I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I should get paid days off. I work at the home of progressives and I'm not getting health insurance for full-time video editing. This is not, and the people I sit next to who I work with, they get health insurance for their job. They're called employees. I'm called, this is not okay. Doing the same work. I wanted them to be independent contractors too. No, obviously that's the American thing is like, well, if they're getting screwed, then if I'm getting screwed, I want them to get screwed too. It's like, no, let's go the other direction. Let's make it so that we all don't get screwed. Stupid Americans. But, and then so I changed that. I complained a bunch and they, answered it after 7 months of all this. The response instead of was, oh, geez, sorry about that, buddy. We really did fuck you over, but we'll make it okay. Here's a bunch of money for all those holidays and vacation time you took that you didn't get paid for. Here's a bunch of money for the health insurance benefit that we weren't paying for. We're going to make sure that you get the bonus that you deserve for working full time for this company as an underpaid video editor. The pay is really not the thing I'm squawking about, obviously, but it is an important detail. The pay was low. I was the lowest paid editor. I was paid less per hour than everybody else, and also zero benefits. And so that's what motivated me to want to unionize at the Young Turks. And so, because I had heard the story about the previous time that they had met, people had told me about that. So I was like, I'm going to start talking about it. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to see if people want to unionize. I want to see if I can do something about my situation. I hate this. I'm miserable. I deserve health insurance and benefits. Pretty straightforward. Instead of fixing it, though, their answer was, okay, well, we'll call you an employee now, so we'll switch you from 1099 to W-2, but we're going to make you a part-time temporary worker. That's the status that they assigned to me. And during that time, since I am getting a little bit detailed here, these are the hours I worked during that time, on average. During the weeks during this time period when I was called part-time, just look closely, 7.8, this is average per day, 7.86, 9.02, 8.5. You can also just do the math here on the hours worked. But I'm dialed in on this orange column, the averages, because not every week has 10 days to work. So like it's not, so that's just a way of sort of saying what your hourly rate or your how many hours per rate on average means. What, you know what I mean? I was working full-time hours. These are 40-hour weeks. These are 39 to 41 or whatever. These are 40-hour weeks while I was called a part-time worker. And TOT's threshold is 30 hours. So no benefits. All these X's mean zero benefits and stuff, or zero paid days off. Totaling 20 days of unpaid days that I would have been if I'd been an employee, which is about $3,500 or over $3,500. It's a lot of money. It's not a small amount of money. And that's just that. That's just that bucket of the wages that I should have been paid that I wasn't paid. This is what motivated us to unionize. Except when Cenk came forward, or sorry, when the union came forward in February, Cenk had become a politician in November. He ran for Congress in 2019, starting in 2019. And this is what Tell the Truth, Cenk is about, my documentary, because it's a fascinating story. To be involved in a union organizing drive on its own is an interesting story. Working at sort of a high profile, maybe you could argue with that, you know, but working at like a well-known political media company, doing a union drive there, living through this employment classification thing, which was incredibly stressful and like weird to like be like seeing videos, editing videos of Cenk talking about paid family leave or whatever the hell else. Or like, you know, he's always been advocating for health insurance and this and that. While I have like a job at his company where they've specifically engineered it so that I don't get benefits. Think of how strange that must have been if you're in that situation. It's one thing that this happens at your, you know, local O-ring factory. I don't know. I always, whenever I think of two other businesses, I think O-ring factory or ice cream shop. That's kind of weird. It'd be weird if it was O-ring shop or ice cream factory, right? Who goes to the O-ring shop? That's a strange one. So Cenk becomes a politician, and we'd already been organizing. We'd been in touch with IATSE, and we'd been like making like very serious about it. You know, like, we're going to do this. We actually care, because the people I worked with were like lefty people. Who do you think TYT hires? Like the kind of person that works at TYT. Not that they have a filter, but you know, conservatives are going to work at the Daily Wire, and lefties are going to work at the Young Turks, basically. Libs and lefty. You know, it's a range. It's not saying it's everybody, but yeah, but of course, like, yeah, okay, well, let's do something. This is bullshit. They didn't like that I was getting fucked over, and they had their own reasons, right? Generalized disrespect. And as part of TYT's union busting, which is just like the dumbest thing Cenk has ever done, I would, not that I have a list of all of his dumb stuff, but he has to agree to this. TYT's lawyers, I know you're all listening. Tell him this. Tell him, unless he's watching it too. Okay? Stupid fucking the stupidest thing a person has ever done in the world that I've seen. And I've been a stupid person my entire life. I've been around a lot of stupid people who are dumber than me. Okay? I've seen all kinds of stupid shit. I went to middle school. This guy busts a union while running for Congress and simultaneously torching his entire company brand. So this is what this whole thing is about. I don't need to get into tons of the detail, but this is the stuff I was working on, is making these yellow highlights and clipping these out and wanting to show that I'm not trying to make TYT's case. I would love for TYT to address this story and come forward and say, actually, Hank is wrong. Our story is correct. They were manipulated by IATSE, and Nancy Pelosi's dispatched her minions because the boss was running against Democratic establishment candidate Christy Smith. And Hank is actually wrong, and here is our proof for why he is wrong. And the actual reason the workers unionized is exactly what we told our audience during the union busting in that time period. They just wished no one would. They didn't think anybody was crazy like me was going to make a whole big stink about it, right? So I would love to hear what they have to say. I genuinely want a reporter or like a journalist or somebody to get involved with this. And like interview them, and like if there's ever a story, because what's going to keep this thing from ever reaching any critical masses, my irrelevance. I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. I'm vaguely like a red shirt in Star Trek. Like I'm a red shirt you might recognize, because I used to go on camera every once in a while at TYT, and I'd been around for a long time, and I used to be on the air with Jimmy Dore in 2016. So I've had somewhat of a public profile, but mostly behind the scenes stuff. But like, but more than your average behind the scenes worker. I used to massage marijuana. If you guys remember seeing the hands moving on the live streams in 2019, those were usually my hands. Occasionally somebody else. Actually, once I was like, JR, you got black hands and I got a white hand. Let's do one white hand and one black hand. He was like, okay, that's all right. See, that's funny, man. I did do yeah, I did. Yeah. So anyway, instead of trying to make, I'm not trying to make their case, but IATSE had endorsed Christy Smith, which is what they sort of leaned on as, look, this is a conspiracy. Look, this is Not that they ever really, they kind of insinuate it mostly. Although I would say that this one down here, to just jump a bit ahead, this is this 10 tweet hyper screed all about IATSE. This one here is definitely not an insinuation, I wouldn't say. It's like they say that if IATSE doesn't agree, it's obvious they never had the support of our employees, and this was all a ploy to intimidate us and the people who work at TUIT. And then the articles that were written describe it as a conspiracy, you know, as is clearly that's what they're insinuating, you know. So I'm just including all this stuff so that people can read this story, assess for themselves, come over to my YouTube channel, learn about carrots and roasting chicken and baldness. Like, you know, I'm sorry if I clip this out, that'll make sense if you watch the full podcast. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's more to go here, but I just wanted to kind of share that this is what I've been working on a bunch. Yeah, Anna had a bunch of involvement with putting it out on Twitter. She's not management. She doesn't deserve the blame in that sense. I wonder if there'll ever be a day where she addresses this too, because she did play a role as a journalist. She should have checked the facts before she spread this stuff. But I am kind of just you know, the way I'm wrapping that up is in the film, which I'm gearing up to work on or to finish. I need money. I need a GoFundMe. I'm going to probably do a GoFundMe. I'm very, very, very desperate for money. And it's not wrong to try to fund a documentary. And also why I'm sharing publicly about the process and what I'm thinking about and the things that I'm trying to get into is like, this one here, especially, like she says, they claim they're representing the will of the majority of the TUIT employees, including producers. It's like, that was never made. That claim IATSE does not. And as I say, like here, no, producers, hosts, marketing, all the people who aren't post and production and post-production, we're not represented by IATSE, because IATSE doesn't represent. It would be crazy for anyone from IATSE to say that it was all TUIT employees. That wouldn't be the case at all. They don't unionize there. You know, they don't unionize for office assistants and stuff. Like, it's just so where the hell did she get this information? You know, I mean, and so anyway, the button I'm going to get to, or the way I'm going to wrap it up with Anna's role in it, I think she failed in a journalistic sense. She did not check the story as far as I have been able to assess. And she should have, because the story was about her colleagues and people whose work and labor have helped her career and made her career. But she was doing, and she was in a very difficult situation. It was very intense at the time with the campaign going on. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up with the concept of trust, that Cenk knew this was not true, and Cenk had no business, or Cenk took advantage of the trust that she had in him. He took advantage of the trust that the people in the ethical dark web had in them. Those are like the online commentators: Kyle Kulinski, David Doyle, Humanist Report, Jeff Waldorf, Sahil Habibi, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's a little outlier on that one. He's not. He just happened to talk about it when I found that video, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Joe Rogan's talking about this. This is a whole sequence in the film about the David Duke thing at TUIT, where the New York Times wrote an article, wrote a piece, partially, not the entire piece, but like they indicated that Cenk had agreed with David. Like, they completely smeared him. It was totally a smear, and everybody got pissed off. Kyle Kulinski led that charge, actually. Here it is. We're here. Oh, hold on. So, yes, this is here. Kyle Kulinski saying, this is stunning. New York Times and Jenny Medina, that's the journalist at New York Times, claimed Cenk Uygur said David Duke is, of course, not a bigot. This is the interview she was citing. They should immediately retract and apologize. And it's very clear, if you watch the video, that Cenk did not mean he agreed with the bigotry of David Duke. He had been very confrontational and contentious with David Duke. It was, you know, a smear. It was genuinely like a shitty thing, and they should have checked it, and they didn't. And then they just kept going and going. Or sorry, when I say they, I mean like this Kyle's umbrage provoked a big firestorm on Twitter, online. Tons of people were pissed. All these tweets. This is kind of covered in the movie. Tell the truth, Cenk. They wanted apologies and retractions because it was wrong that a media company smeared a progressive boss. Doesn't that seem wrong? Holy shit! Here, let's go to post engagements. I've never even looked at this one. So I'll just scroll. Let's just set it on a slow scroll there for you to read. This is distracting, so I can't think straight now. So that whole event is in the film because it's about the campaign and it's about the environment in which the union busting occurred. And I'm going to contrast all this with the silence that came. And it's not to call these guys out or, the ethical dark web, although they might not like the way it's presented, but it's about power and media. I was the only person calling for honesty and justice and trying to correct the injustice of TYT's smear of their own workers, because they had smeared me and I knew the truth, and they had fired me or laid me off in January of like 5 weeks before the union came forward. But I was intimately, deeply involved with the origin of this whole union. That's why I didn't like that they told their audience a completely made up story, that the union originated as a ploy to intimidate them. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately too is like they're partially why I'm doing this. I mean, there's a lot of reasons and stuff, and it's that itself is a pretty big question, I guess. I mean, not a big question, but a big answer. But is like, I deserve to have agency. You don't get to tell my story. I'm reclaiming agency. I'm the one that gets to tell the narrative about why I started or helped start the union at the Young Turks. I feel like I'm crossing lines slightly by telling this story because it's also about my friends and people who started the union. You know what I mean? Like I have worries that that's somehow causing annoyance or something like that. It's not even my full story. It really isn't. But it sure as fuck wasn't Cenk's story, and it wasn't Anna's story. And they had an obligation to check with us before they put it out, because they were impugning the integrity of their own workers. And I say Anna's not management, to be fair. She's not at all management. But she's an important figure there. She has, more power than average. She's the executive producer. She's half the brand of the company and stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's a whole bunch of stuff going on with all this stuff. Yeah, so Kyle did a good job. And I would love it if someday Kyle and the leftist mafia guys, Humanist Report, because he's in the film too, David Doyle, all those other types, get a hold of it and want to talk about it, because they were covering TYT's news, but the union bust kicked on, and the only two outfits on the left, let's say, that covered it were, at least as far as I've been able to find, I'm sure there were probably mentions here and there, but Means TV did a report about the hiring of an anti-worker law firm that TYT uses. That came forward from the NLRB cases. The NLRB cases that were, two of them were generated by the union busting, including one that produced this piece of paper that they had to mail to former employees. That's right here. Wait a minute. I got more blue light. Okay. This thing, right? Signed by Dave Kohler. A copy of this hung on the TYT wall for 60 days. That's in the film. They're reporting on other union stories. They were reporting on other companies that treated workers poorly and ended up into some kind of government or regulatory interventions, such as a notice that says notice to employees, and then details a bunch of their rights and stuff and the company was forced to retract some information, some edicts that they were required to bring communications to management. They were clamping down control. I forgot what I was saying, but oh, they were covering all those other stories. And this kind of stuff is what they would cover if it was a different company. But at TYT, this stuff would make Cenk uncomfortable. So the home of progressives, the honesty company, they don't get to talk about this stuff. That ain't going to happen. And especially ain't going to happen because, particularly now that I'm doing this whole thing publicly, the moment Cenk kind of mentions it, it's going to, that's the whole thing here, really. Not that I expect something to happen after that per se, but they're so incentivized to just hope that my irrelevance prevents it from getting told, from the story getting out. And they're probably right. Honestly, that's the best bet they could make. I don't do a good job of it. I was tweeting out some stuff. In fact, this is connecting it back to the story we're doing here. I was, for some reason last night, I just got it in my head. I just was typing a bunch. Oh, this is the conclusion of the article here. It says, we now have two versions of the story to reconcile. One of these is not true. My version, workers unionized because of unsatisfactory and exploitative working conditions, versus TYT's version, workers were manipulated into unionizing by Cenk Uygur's political opponents as a ploy to harm his 2019-2020 congressional campaign for CA-25 special election to replace Christy Smith. Which one of those do you think is true? Boom. I changed my browser size, or my size of that thing. I love how nicely that looks. It works great. So I want TYT to explain why this is true, why what they said is the actual story when they address this. And if a journalist gets a hold of this story and does it, they should ask them, what's your case? Make your case. How do you prove that all this other crap Hank is talking about, this old story that's been happening for centuries, where workers are pissed and fed up about their working conditions, and so they secretly band together to exercise the power of collective bargaining in order to improve their working conditions so that they can be better workers. They can make more money for the fucking boss. They're not so fucking stressed out that because they can't go see a doctor like me. And of course, here I was trying to get the attention from these people in this tweet here. But there's one I wanted to dial in on here. Is the so I posted this stuff about this, and like, if we're to believe, so if TYT's story is true, how do we, I like to play these sort of things, like let's run this thought experiment, this like simulator. Let's accept that my version, that I made all that up, or that even removing me from this because of the stuff I'm about to talk about. If TYT's version is the narrative, that there was zero organizing at the Young Turks until he filed for Congress, which was November 13th, 2019. I know you've already seen it, but there's the statement of organization, November, 11/13. In fact, they didn't, there's people who just monitor this stuff, like these government filings. And so it actually came out like really quickly that, oh my God, Cenk is filed here, like some person monitoring it. I'm not sure how all that goes, but then it became like, so it was like, it happens fast. Like as soon as he files, it's like people noticed. And then they did an announcement video, which was a decent big chunk about that. And I also think, just as a political junkie myself, who's been paying attention to politics since I was a weird kid watching the McLaughlin Group with my dad when I was like 13 and 14 years old. This is just an interesting event. Like it's a shame that it wouldn't get documented. TYT was making a documentary about it called Road to Revolution. If you do ever reach out to them, if you want to ask them about it, you should be like, wait, where's that movie? Do it respectfully, treat them with the, kindness and patience and respect. I don't want people, anyway, just thought I was going to say, I might save that for later, but, and so how does this so if we have to believe, God damn it, I'm all over the place here, to believe that the workers, that the Young Turks version is true, you also have to believe that the emails, I don't have the emails. I know the people who do have the emails, and it's very clear here that Alex Thompson, this writer who writes for Politico, and he's been doing a bunch of stuff actually about the campaign. And he's been on the beat of like, Kamala Harris isn't doing interviews as much as the other guys. It's like, dude, that's not that important. I mean, I get it. I know it's part of the politics right now, but anyway, he's a respected journalist. He's not going to put something in this stuff that he hasn't verified or at least gotten some information about. So if TYT's version is true, that means that the emails that the workers from TYT shared with him, showing that there had been a back and forth in April of 2018, and then again after I had been involved, when we decided we were going to because the way you unionize is you just start talking about it. You just start bringing it up. You just feel, you pick somebody, not pick somebody, but you can't just flap your gums too aggressively all over the place. It'd be awesome if that was how we did workplace unionizing, but it's usually a couple people going, yeah, this is the thing. And then I just intentionally went out of my way to start asking about this original story here and be like, yeah, so that, someone told me about this. Is that true? We have this. And okay, so we have a contact with IATSE. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Some time goes by, whatever. You just pick your moments. I'm obviously a fairly outgoing, extroverted sort of person. I'm a deeply introverted weirdo who likes to be alone, in my severe autistic burnout. But I have extroverted qualities, clearly. And then you go, are we serious? Like, are we just talking about unionizing again, or do you actually want to do it? Or like, is this just blown off? I remember I made sure to be like that too, to be like, are you really want to like talk to other people now and start thinking about it? Like, yeah, let's do that. Let's not, like, you know, you kind of have to assess if you're just kind of fantasizing to blow off some steam, or if you're actually like interested in pushing forward. And at any point you can stop. You don't have to keep going. So we just did that. And slowly we were like, well, let's talk. Because the group that started it, we all knew each other really well. And we were like safe and nice and lots of care, solidarity. And they'd already had a little effort. And so of course it was not that hard. Everybody, Cenk did all the persuading. The guy who spent his career telling workers to stand up for themselves, talking about how important collective bargaining is, how all that stuff. You know, we're going to watch that video right now. Oh, I don't like how it frames up here in the shot there, but okay, hold on. Hold still. So this is our boss. Remember, this guy wanted his audience to believe that nobody at his company did any union organizing until he became a candidate for Congress. This guy.
We've got to have collective bargaining so you all have power. The working class should have power. Are we allowed to stand up for working class people? The answer is yes. Yes, you are.
You don't have collective bargaining, and you want to go into your boss and say, all right, I'd like a pay raise. You're going to have absolutely no ability to do that. The only way that any boss would take you seriously is whether you could bring everybody in together.
We need to have stronger unions in this country. We need to restore power back to the average citizens in this country.
We need unionized work, right? We need labor protections. We had those protections. They've been rolled back throughout the decades because of the aggressiveness of the anti-labor movement.
The wealth gap is so big. The thing that had the most hope to close it was unions.
That's a good point.
If 50% of the workers in a unit sign a card saying they want to belong to a union, you got a union, end of discussion.
Okay, there's on-screen text I haven't been reading. I should have been.
It's about time that the working class in this country had a little bit of power. What if we were actually the ones that actually stood up for people and stood up for ourselves?
There are real consequences for employees who even bring up the notion.
Should you stand up for yourself? What if you stood up for yourself? That's exactly what I'm doing, man. You hired somebody who believes in this bullshit. Mistake number one.
For ourselves.
There are real consequences for employees who even bring up the notion of unionizing.
On screen, TYT is pressuring workers to change their minds.
People get fired immediately.
Overpowered.
Tweet from Richard Trumka. He's a famous union guy. This is union busting, plain and simple. I call on Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks to follow their principles and voluntarily recognize the card authorization vote of TYT Union.
For them, and they could bully them and they could intimidate them because they got a lot of workers here and they want to pay them as little as possible.
Which side are you on, TYT? It says
corporate power is, in a sense, oppressing all of us. They have to maximize profit, and so they have to squeeze every red cent out of every single one of us.
Boy, do I relate to that. Let's jump over to the article here and look at the summary of my days off. Look at all that money. Every red cent. What's $1,557.36 plus $1,903.44. What's that amount to? That's almost $4,000. That's not true. That's almost $3,400. Sorry. 15 plus 15 is 3 plus 4. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it. I did the math there. That's about $3,400 in wages that if I had been an employee, I would have received. And it really fucking sucked to just take a day off that I did 2 like vacation time periods in here. You know, it ruined that time off. There's an emotional component to this. That's a big deal for me. Obviously, I'm like one of these emotional weirdos that likes to talk about it. Yeah. So there's Cenk. If I can get too many damn tabs open, not Matt Walsh. Here he is.
50% of the workers in a unit sign a card, you got a union. End of discussion.
Thank you, Bernie. End of discussion. End of discussion. I think I like to imagine him being like, I'll have a junior bacon cheeseburger, a large vanilla milkshake, extra vanilla, and 2 cubits of ice cream. End of discussion. This is the Motion Picture Editors Guild. Great Bernie there, Hanky boy. This is the Motion Picture Editors Guild Local 700. This is the Editors Union. I would have joined this union. I never made it into the goddamn union. I'm a union guy. I'm a friend of your unions. If you're in a union and you somehow see this, tell your union to like share my movie. We're making a documentary about a fucking union buster and about what it takes to start a union. And it's supposed to be an educational product or production. I really want this to be bigger than TYT. I want this to extend to every workplace situation where it just fucking sucks to have a boss treating people like shit while he says stuff like this to the camera. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that crazy? So I actually included, I don't know, this is not at all the plan I had for today, but let's watch this part from the movie. Here's a chunk from my video of Tell the Truth Jank. This is the middle 38-minute chunk. It's a bit of a mess here as far as these big parts. So the third part, it's not going to be, I mean, I might release a whole bunch more chunks, but I'm not just doing like 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 1, 2, and then like a big one that has all 3. Does that make sense? So at least that's the plan, but it's still so far away. But both of these are very close to being done. There's a few bits where I have to fix them up, and these are going to take some work. And then after I finally edit the final third and integrate it into one long video, one long movie, I'll probably make some, somehow I'm suppressing a burp. I'll probably make some, maybe some changes there once I have it all on the timeline, because the whole thing is supposed to work as a kind of a piece that works together. And as I was kind of saying earlier, like in the final third, we'll revisit some of the stuff where Jank misled, like Jeff Waldorf, Humanist Report, Sahil Habibi, all the people on the internet, Anna herself. They were all lied to by him. And he used their lie to avoid and to protect his audience, to avoid having his audience ask, why did your workers unionize? Right? I have a little bit about that. But anyway, so this is the middle 38-minute chunk. We're just skipped ahead here to a bit that's kind of related to what we just watched. So let's go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can say Washington is not ready for you, Shank.
Indeed, yeah.
With his political campaign in the morgue, Jank's bullying campaign continued unabated. Not without pushback, of course. TYT Union's Twitter kept a light on for those seeking a trustworthy source of information. Sorry. 360p? Oh, God, we're starting over. We're starting over. Fucking hell. I'm not watching no 360p. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can say Washington is not ready for you, Shank.
Indeed, yeah.
Like how I put the pen down. With his political campaign in the morgue, Jank's bullying campaign continued unabated. Not without pushback, of course. TYT Union's Twitter kept a light on for those seeking a trustworthy source of information. And Jank's world historic hypocrisy earned himself and his company a starring role in a montage produced by the Motion Picture Editors Guild Local 700. That's the one I would have joined. Click.
We've got to have collective bargaining so you all have power.
The working class should have power. Are we allowed to stand up for working class people? The answer is yes. Yes, you are.
You don't have collective bargaining, and you want to go into your boss and say, all right, I'd like a pay raise. You're going to have absolutely no ability to do that. The only way that any boss would take you seriously is whether you could bring everybody in together.
Oh, this music over black and white, that means only one thing. You're the best. Oh shit, it's Haas.
Hello, Haas. It is your good uncle, Uncle Max. Sexy Boys by TYT. Sexy Boys by TYT. You're dreaming, Haas. This is you walking from your dream, Sexy Boys by TYT.
You're dreaming.
You're dreaming, Haas. Dreaming. Sexy Boy by TYT. You're dreaming, Haas. By TYT. Dreaming.
This is you.
You're dreaming, Haas. Sexy Boys by TYT. By TYT, Haas.
We need to restore power back to the average citizens in this country.
We need unionized work, right? We need labor protections. We had those protections. They've been rolled back throughout the decades because of the aggressiveness of the anti-labor movement.
The wealth gap is so big. The thing that had the most hope to close it was unions.
I miss talking to Brett. Brett and I were both funny. He's funny. I think Brett's really talented, and we were. I wouldn't say close, might not be, but as work friends, we were like we were funny guys, and I think we had a mutual respect for each other. I imagine he probably finds me very irritating these days, but you know I'm right. You know I'm right, man. You know I'm right. I like Brett a lot. And that's partially what sucks about this whole thing is it torches all the professional connections I'd made in the last most of my life, and God knows I could use some nowadays. So yeah, but
finally, the second election was held.
That's why you see I have the blue there with the construction. That indicates that we're under construction. So support, look in the description.
Intrepid crew of TYT Union stood firm, despite Cenk's firewall of fame, bluster, and BS. With his grip loosened, Cenk's precious control reduced, the workers of TYT Union granted themselves a voice in their workplace, a way to address grievances, and asserted respect where none had been offered. The king's snarl became a frown. Time for coffee cake.
Yeah, that's like the weakest sequence in the entire movie, in my opinion. It's okay enough, I guess, but it's a little cluttery and crazy. And I did that kind of last minute, because I was kind of rushing to get a lot of it done. But let's just watch this a little bit more. How about a couple more minutes? What are we? An hour 12? Oh my God, I haven't done any of the stories yet. Okay.
Defeat for Cenk meant better lives for his workers. This, in turn, meant a better life for Cenk. It meant a greater ability to feed the nutrient cocoon sustaining his bloviating ambitions. For all the brutality of this effort, the workers would be more and more able to produce that sweet, sweet time, talent, and labor that Cenk, like all capitalists, require to keep the placenta pumping.
How much does it have to do with the CEO of the corporation?
It has literally everything to do with that level. It is that person who makes the decision. It all falls in the lap.
That's Martin J. Levitt. He's dead. Wrote a book about being a union buster. He worked as a union buster for a very long time. So yeah, there was an interview with him that I used some footage from. There's a previous sequence that's pretty interesting too.
Of that chief executive or chief operating officer.
Happier workers produce more. Rested workers don't get sick as much. Respected workers are more loyal.
Ooh, respect. What do you get for respect? Does respecting your workers pay off? Cenk, could you write an article for Newsweek about whether or not you wish you respected your workers now? Let's go to my Twitter here. This is one of those things. I know we're kind of flying around here. I was writing last night, Friday night, writing about some of this stuff. What do you have to believe in order for the TYT version to be true? We just had established that you have to believe that the workers fabricated emails of 2 different time periods that they had shared with a professional journalist who then wrote about it and confirmed details in conversations, and that the workers lied to multiple workers were quoted. I was quoted by name in the New Republic article, but every other worker who talked to a journalist stayed anonymous for fear of retaliation because they were worried that Cenk would use the power he has, you might say the corporate rule that he has over them, to further increase the psychological material harm that he had the ability to inflict on them and the willingness to use. We unionized in secret because we knew our boss better than any audience member ever could. We were worried about retaliation, and we were right. There's actually a chunk in the movie about that. So to continue to believe that the workers, let's continue this premise that the TYT version is what actually happened. You'd have to believe, as I tweeted, a group of intelligent, hardworking, lefty-minded professional media workers deeply aware of news, politics, and the political battle space were such morons that they were duped by strangers in the days after their famous boss filed to run for Congress. Nancy Pelosi picks up her red phone after getting a raven with a note that it says, buy NVIDIA. And then another raven comes by and she opens it. It says, oh, a challenger has arisen from the swamps to take down my precious Christy Smith. Quickly. And she coils it back up and then she like puts it back in the raven, you know. I like the raven better than the red phone, so I'm going to mix it up here. But so then she picks up the red phone. Here, I have a red cup. Any liquid in there? Boop, boop, boop. Oh, yes. See, why don't people take me seriously? Oh, yes. I have an emergency dictate. Unionize the Young Turks. Yes, we must destroy them. It's a ploy to intimidate them and the people who work at TYT. This is what TYT expects you to believe. That he files for paperwork and then the establishment dispatches somebody, strangers, to contact me. Do I seem like somebody who falls for fucking shit? No. My whole problem in life is I smell bullshit better than you. I'm a bullshit sniffing dog. If only bullshit was illegal, I could get a job at the airport. Smelling passengers before they get on a plane. I smell bullshit so fucking well. I now understand that through the lens of autism, for sure, as far as to how my brain works. And why I get hyper dialed in on shit. Like, we wouldn't have been suspicious. Oh, geez, man. Because everybody talks about your boss. If your boss ran for Congress, just picture yourself at your workplace, right? You got your little stack of Post-it notes. Got your picture of your sweetie. It's dusty. Maybe clean it up a little bit. Wipe the dust off that picture of your sweetie, okay? Come on. Show some respect. Bring it into the bathroom with you. Leave it on the... Smash it in the sink. Just for a real dramatic presentation. A broken picture frame is very dramatic. What am I doing? You're at your boss. You're at your company. And your boss runs for Congress. Everybody's going to talk about that. That's crazy, right? So we work at the Young Turks. The boss is running for Congress. Everybody's going to talk about it. Everybody did talk about it, of course. Now, me and a small group were secretly unionizing when it happened, which was like, whoa, shit, we got to talk about this. But was I really going to fall for it? Like, oh, so like, okay, oh yeah, that's right. We're still in this fantasy world where TYT's version is true here in this premise. So Cenk files for Congress. Everyone's like, oh gosh, that's crazy. And then within a day or two, I get contacted. Other people there get contacted by somebody we'd never met before and somehow persuades us all to start a union. How does that even work? What kind of conversation is that? Oh yeah. Hello. Ring, ring. Hello. Yes. Yes. Stupid moron here. Yes. No, I never thought. Well, no, I don't get benefits. Well, I mean, they did just hire me. I got my 3rd classification, so I will get my first day of paid holiday after 12 months of full-time video editing. So I actually would like, yeah, oh, collective. Oh, you mean like that movie about, no, what am I'm trying to think of a movie where they unionize. I almost said Sandlot. Sure. Okay. And meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi's on her red phone. Did they unionize? Did those fucking morons who are all smart video editors at the Young Turks who know politics because they're professional politics editors? Get them. We got to destroy Cenk. He will definitely say no to the union when it comes forward. End scene. I'm not a former theater kid. I actually wasn't a play when I was a kid, so I guess you could say, but I wasn't really a theater. I think I'm a theater kid who, I would have been a theater kid. I wish I had been a theater kid. I think you get to make out with a lot of people when you're in theater. That's mainly the main reason why I wish I had been. So they want people, they want their audience to think that we were all stupid morons that didn't have any suspicion that the day or two after our boss runs for Congress, we're immediately reached out to by people we've never met, and we agree to have a meeting before work. I think it was a Friday in my apartment. Does that sound plausible? The next tweet. Oh, shit, I didn't want to click on it. Next tweet. In order to believe TYT's version, you'd have to believe that anyone would be dumb enough to predict Cenk would be dumb enough to torch his own brand by busting a union while running for Congress, as the scheme only works to harm if the union is rejected. No one would make that bet. Nobody in their right mind. And we didn't think he would bust the union. We were prepared for him to be unhappy. We knew he wouldn't like it. We knew he would have a major problem. But the only possible thing you could predict would be, yeah, okay, hey, we're Young Turks. And he could even maybe do some honesty and he could have said, you know what, audience, I'm not really a big union guy. I'm going to tell you, I come from a conservative background, but I trust my workers. We're going to do this together. Let's start a fundraiser. It might cost us more money, but I know that our audience wants to support the principles that we sell them. And let's do that. Do you know how much of a bright spot it would be in his world? He could still have it. He would have been talking about it as a presidential candidate. Like, just all the ways that saying yes to the union would have saved him so much money and trouble, and me all this hassle making this documentary. Although I still would have had my working conditions, I probably would have eventually come forward about, because I wasn't going to let that go, because I'm different. I'm different. I believe in I sold a business in Chicago, moved across the country in 2013 to join the Young Turks, to work there. Not that other people might not have done that, but like I believe in this stuff. So like the moment they made me sign the independent contractor agreement, and I asked them to fix it, like I gave them chances to like, let's bury the skeleton. You guys could fix this and it'll be fine. I wouldn't have come forward then. But I'm different. That's probably what was so stressful. It's like, you guys don't know what you set in motion here, dude. I don't really fully understand it. I do have a better grasp of it now that we're looking back at it, but I don't back down, because not backing down is worse for me, right? Like if I had just been silent about this, it would have eaten me alive my entire life. It's already bad enough. I just want my beard to grow back. Nevertheless, Cenk busts the union. He actually does the thing, the dumbest possible fucking thing he could have done. And I even make a point. I make this in the big article that's already up. Not that one. This one here. At some point in that one I talk about it, but also in the one I'm about to post, which is I might delete this because this is sort of editorializing, since there's because I'm saying like this whole thing is supposed to be not opinionated, but I did do a sidebar here that I might write. You could read it right now. IATSE endorsing Christy Smith is a separate issue from whether I deserved health insurance and paid time off for full-time video editing, or whether the other TYT employees deserved the freedom to collectively bargain for better working conditions by joining the union that represents professional production and post-production workers. As shown above, IATSE was receptive in 2018 to the Young Turks workers' first entreaty. Very nice word, entreaty, isn't it? That said, I say in bold, and this is me being very fair, this is also one reason the documentary took a very long time, because it becomes about Cenk's campaign. It rewinds, and we go through some of the time where he was, or you know, like the November, December, January time period, where the establishment media kind of comes after Cenk. And I want to do a piece in the final version, which sort of will kind of, you know, sidebar, let's call it, I guess. I want to say diversion, but it's about how progressives are aggressively, you know, fended off by Pelosi in the establishment, right? Like Jessica Cisneros in Texas, India Walton, that was a mayorship, I think, in Buffalo, New York. Cenk, Nina Turner, for example, like the way that that they will pull out all the stops to fight progressive candidates, and Cenk fits into that, right? For sure. Let's be weird to say if it wasn't true. That wasn't true. So I'm trying to be incredibly fair here in order to show the context of the entire story. So another, and in that spirit, I'm writing here, considering the unfair treatment Team Cenk had received from mainstream sources, paranoia was justifiable given the fog of war of an intense and novel political campaign. But before going public, the proper next step was fact-checking. So, okay, IATSE endorsing Smith, And they've been attacked by the New York Times. They had a bunch of old stuff from the past drag up by a Twitter account called Receipt Maven. That's in the video quite a bit. Not quite a bit, I'd say, but like there's a sequence a bit about that. Fair or unfair, the sexism and misogyny that was pretty endemic. Is that the right word? But it was all over TYT. It was pretty ugly stuff. And there's honestly, it was not, it's more than just like the guy was, you know, a little horny. Like I found one video of him saying that they're going to put the vagina pictures on their own website because YouTube won't let them show it, but they don't like, well, but we'll put all the full pictures on our site because we have no morals.
First, we got to show you the pictures, obviously. Now, it's YouTube, so we can't show you complete nudity, but on our website, you can see the whole pictures, theyoungturks.com, because on our website, we have no morals. Okay, so we'll show you everything, but...
I found some other stuff, too. Is it fair that Cenk has to still account for all that stuff, and he's had to kind of publicly apologize? He was kicked out of the Justice Democrats when he had helped found that with Kyle Klinsky back in 2017. But all that stuff came roaring out during the campaign. But the New York Times situation was very unfair. Cenk also had major problems with the CNN article that was done and a LA Times piece as well, which was referenced by Brianna. My brain. She's the CNN anchor, Brianna something. Interviewing Ro Khanna, which is a big sequence in the movie about that. So they had very good reasons. I mean, it's understandable why they would have had a posture of like, what the hell is this? What, you know, this doesn't seem right. What, this has to be an establishment thing. This can't be, you know, something, you know, right. So like, I'm giving them space to be paranoid and suspicious. So resume to read here. It says proper next step was fact checking. I say, not all stories are confirmable, but very few are this confirmable. I want people to understand this part because this is about the journalism ethics that I'm going on about. If you can't confirm the details, you have to rely on trust and credibility. If somebody tells you something, you know, you're relaying news. TYT does has done. I'm not sure how much original news they do these days. Maybe in some of the interviews, they might generate something original as a news story. But they had like Jonathan Larson was a writer, did some stuff about the family, like that Christian fundamentalist group that has a lot of political influence and stuff. And they've had other people working for them, Jordan Chariton, and there was just recently a political reporter, I don't know the name, who they let go. So I think their original reporting is way down. But why did I mention all that? So they did generate some, oh, that's right. So mostly what they do is read and react to other news. So they read sources. And so that's a, you know, within the ecosystem online of political stuff, like we've seen, Anna has been coming forward recently in the last few years about her shift in political approach. She actually tears up on an episode of Blocked and Reported, which is Jesse Singal's podcast, talking about how she felt really bad about how she did a lot of things wrong in terms of that.
Okay, so from the position that you're in now, looking back over your career, are there stories you've done that you now regret?
Oh, deeply, deeply, deeply regret. I would say that the area where I felt the most uncomfortable was actually listening to this podcast that I love so much.
Huh.
Because by listening to your podcast, I realized that some of the stories that we covered were covered inaccurately. And oh my God, like I don't know if you ever get this feeling in the pit of your stomach related to like past reporting that you've done, but when you realize that maybe you got something wrong, it's just like this sick feeling. And it's not so much about my personal embarrassment in getting it wrong. It's the guilt of misleading my audience. Obviously, it wasn't intentional, but it was still misinforming my audience. And I just take what I do seriously. I feel like there's a responsibility involved, and I don't want to do harm through the work I do. I actually want to produce something positive in the world. I guess the final thing I'll say, because I don't think I've ever said this anywhere else, and it's what I feel internally and what I'm kind of dealing with behind the scenes. I've only done one thing in life, and it was TYT. Like, really, I've done one thing. I don't have kids. I've chosen not to. And I feel that I have a lot of guilt, and I feel like I've the one thing I've done in life, I've done it wrong. So I'm just trying to be better.
Yeah.
You know, that's all.
Well, you're doing, I think, a fantastic job, and I really appreciate you putting yourself out there.
Not relating to this, I wish she would. I'd be very curious to find out how she feels about all this stuff eventually. As I said, it's just to double repeat. Like, my whole thing is that she should have fact checked it, but also she trusted her source, and her source took advantage of that trust. That's what's fucked up about this. But that said, though, so if a media company is sharing news that it doesn't do original reporting on, it has to, the audience has to assume that there is good faith credibility and good faith trust that they're telling the truth to the degree that they can confirm the details or not. And if they make a mistake, you issue a retraction, you apologize, you say, hey, the other day we said something that wasn't true. Here's actually what's true. Sorry about that. And everybody understands that's fine, especially the TYT that produces a ton of content. Long career online, saying, you know, there's no way that you're not going to get some details wrong. Of course, that's fine. This story happened to be about their own colleagues, their own workers. And I like this sentence here, though, that not all stories are confirmable, but very few are this confirmable. How could TYT have checked the facts? How could they have confirmed whether or not the story that Nancy Pelosi ringed up Hank Thompson and said, go start a union, young man. Yeah. And then I went zap, and she zapped me in my ear. Or I should have said raven. It would have been funny if she dispatched a raven. What am I saying? Either I'm really annoying or really funny. I don't know. Maybe, or just boring. Okay. All right. So they could have confirmed this, though. Did they not feel a responsibility to do the most basic journalistic ethics, to uphold those, of saying, gosh, this is actually kind of like we were about to like tell our audience that our workers were stupid, or even worse is that we were in on it, which is insane. I was for Cenk becoming a congressperson. I still am. Not that I think we'd have a great like moral, but I don't apply morals and virtue to the people in Congress. I think Cenk in Congress would be fascinating, even now. After all this, it's like, yeah, run for Congress, dude. Come on, do a proper campaign. Don't just get excited about trying to squeeze in on a special election, because that's what the Christy Smith thing was. It was like a unique one because of the Katie Hill was a previous. She was bounced out for some sexually explicit stuff that was kind of bullshit. I think I didn't really ever look too closely into it, but George Papadopoulos, by the way, he ran, I do remember seeing Cenk talk about how like learning about George Papadopoulos running is what gave him the idea to run.
Let me show you how this all started, because there is an old tweet from a couple weeks ago that appears to indicate where he was hinting at running. So this actually starts, oddly enough, with a tweet from George Papadopoulos. So he tweeted out, I'm smelling blood in the water now that Katie Hill has resigned. California's 25th congressional district is wide open for the taking. Someone has to step up. I love my state too much to see it run down by candidates like Hill. All talk, no action, and a bunch of sellouts. Now, Papadopoulos, obviously Republican, worked with Trump, but I point this tweet out because Cenk Uygur quote tweeted that a few days later, saying this: wide open, you say? Now, this seems sort of like, you know, Cenk plays games sometimes. It seems like maybe he was just, you know, being a jokester and wanted to get a reaction out of people. But no, this is really the first hint into what appears to be an official announcement. So today, Sarah D. Wire, who covers Congress for the LA Times, she tweeted this out, quote tweeting an FEC filing which indeed shows Cenk Uygur registering to run for Congress in California's 25th district. She tweeted out, appears Cenk Uygur plans to run for Katie Hill's old seat. Hashtag California 25th. So, I mean, that's it, right? Like, that appears to be official. You have a journalist for the LA Times tweeting this out. It's official that he is registered to run for this seat. So the only response, though, from Cenk so far has been this: to all reporters, no comment.
Although I have to suspect that he'd pondered the idea of running for Congress. I think the guy's a little bit power hungry. Anyway, they could have confirmed it because the sources for the story, like it's one thing to have to call up Four Seasons Landscaping and say, "Hey, is Donald Trump coming to you? Are you a hotel downtown, or are you like a landscaping business in the outside of downtown?" Like to confirm a detail. Well, in this case, the people who could have confirmed whether the union was started after Cenk ran for Congress or before ran for Congress, and maybe like why, oh gee, our working conditions, they were feet away. Original sources were 20 feet away. And they were people that they had known for years. You could have confirmed it in 2 minutes. Maybe it was inappropriate if it's now raised, because by the point that this was becoming public, perhaps they had to like maintain kind of a firewall between people in the union and people in the management side of it. Okay, fine. Is there someone else who was involved that we could talk to? Oh, I don't know. Maybe that guy, Hank, who we all have known for so many years, who no longer works here. Bit of a loudmouth, but a sweetheart and a good man. Lizard massager. Maybe we should check with him. Was he involved? Yeah, he was involved. Okay, I'll send him a DM. I used to have conversations with Anna. We weren't really close or whatever, but it would have been absolutely fine. I would have been glad to tell her why and what it, you know. They didn't check. They didn't do it. And they should have. And so, yeah, anyway, why did I come back to this? All right, so. Okay, so we're going to do, let's move on. I mean, that's basically what I was going to share here. This is the stuff that's going to be in the article I'm going to be posting soon, just so that people can kind of just assess what they think. Maybe they will read all this. Some people might and say, oh, gee, this Hank guy is making all this. This is nothing. This is not worth making a stink about. But I don't believe that to be the case. And ultimately, as I did say, we have a conclusion here, and I want the audience to assess which one of these seems like the most likely version of events. Do you think it was unsatisfactory or exploitative working conditions? Or do you think it was Pelosi sending her red raven to my ear to tell me to start a union via her minions? Okay. Check out the documentary TYT Tell the Truth, Cenk, on my YouTube channel here at Winners and Losers. But Matt Walsh made historical news. This guy is a Daily Wire guy. He shows up all the time on the kind of lefty sort of shows I watch generally, but it's usually stuff that raises ire, wrinkles and stuff. Right-winger, contrarian. I don't know if contrarian is the right way to put it, but I'm trying not to just straight up go into the insults part of it. That's not necessarily where I like to inhabit. But first, we're going to watch him. So he said some shit about sick pay and sick leave, which, as you guys know, we just talked about it for a while. I had no sick pay or sick leave or sick days off at the Young Turks. If I took a day off, I would have been unpaid and for part of it. But anyway, so I have a personal reason for being interested in workplace conditions that Matt Walsh is talking about. But he came on talking about taking sick days as an adult. He says adults shouldn't be taking sick days. Now, this guy's a podcaster. I would love to have the level of success he's had in his career. Honestly, I would prefer to never be on video ever again. I think the dream would be like 2 episodes a week with just a microphone, because it's just much more simple. But I assume this guy's a millionaire of some. I mean, he's pretty famous. He's pretty well known. There's tons of money on the right. There's a lot of big audiences for right wingers and stuff like that. And so, but he came forward talking about how adults shouldn't be taking sick days if they're sick. You should just work. Only work if you're sick. But before we get to that, I just haven't watched it yet. The Surfs TV, Lance from the Surfs, guy from the Leftist Mafia, as well as from the Surfs, seems like a nice dude. So he tweets out, this is 4,000 retweets already. So I guess he was on the Ryan Grimm program where he learns about U.S. imperialism. I have not watched this. Let's just take a listen.
America, nobody thinks that it will benefit America to become more like Haiti. Nobody thinks that. Or I would challenge anyone, if they do think that, to explain how that's the case. Like, in what way could this country...
I would say overthrowing your masters is a beautiful and wonderful thing we should do to be more like Haiti. Let's fucking do it, Earth. I have this idea to do a meme of the Earth planet, and it says, organize this workplace. Earth is a work camp because of people like Matt Walsh who think you should never take a day off if you're ill. Insane. I don't want to live in a work camp. I want to live in a leisure camp.
Be improved by making it more like Haiti. When you look at Haiti, what part of Haiti are you saying to yourself, we need more of that?
Beaches.
Well, we have more beaches than them too, right? Don't we?
Right.
We're a much bigger country.
We don't want
to say you really said beaches? I mean, yeah, okay. Yes, we have much more coastline probably than the perimeter of the part of the island that Haiti occupies next to the Dominican Republic. Yes, I don't know. I'm not trying to pick on that. Beaches. That's just okay. So now I think Ryan Grim is about to go Grim. It's Grim Tim time without the E. Grim Tim, get it? Grim Tim.
Marine invasion and occupation of the United States.
I'm going to back up just a bit.
A marine
I'm sorry, back up again.
Well, we have more beaches than them too, right? Don't we?
Right.
We're a much bigger country.
We don't want a marine invasion and occupation of the United States that constantly decapitates governments and takes the money out of the country and saddles us with
we don't want the Clintons
debt
either.
from a revolution. Yeah.
Right. Although I don't. So you're saying that
we wouldn't want to be like basically a colony that the entire West spends 200 years punishing after the Haitian Revolution.
I get that. I understand that, but also at a certain
we wouldn't want that. No, yes.
We wouldn't want that, but I would also say that that's not entirely why Haiti's in the position that it's in. I mean, at a certain point, as a country, you have to stand on your own 2 feet and
That's
take care of
just
yourself.
such conservative. Like at a certain point, you just got to take personal responsibility. Like, which is just like, well, yeah, I know everything's terrible for you, and that we have an explicit project to make it terrible for you because we genuinely only can have success, and by success I mean profits, excess wealth, wealth hoarding, political control, violence enforced wealth hoarding. We can only have that if we maintain your impoverishment, because your impoverishment is our greatest asset. Your weakness is the source of our strength. But at a certain point, you just got to take your yeah, they did take personal responsibility. They went and they fucking killed them all. And it was a bloody and it was a violent revolution. I actually need to read books, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some expert on the Haitian Revolution, but good God, if anybody deserved more to lash out at an oppressor, it's a slave. And this kind of thing did happen. Certainly, as it should have. But of course, that means major, you know, it's difficult for if a slave commits an act of violence against one of their captors. I don't want to call them masters. I should call them their, you know, like they're the victims of this horrible crime. Kidnapper might be the best word. And then there were severe punishments for that. Of course, to the people who committed the violence, but of course it was terrorism. I mean, it was like that. I don't know, that word barely begins to describe the kind of depravity that was the root function of the American chattel slavery and the just desecration of all of humanity. Even the white people, even the oppressors who were harmed by all of this. That's partly the problem with this whole fucking thing, is that it makes all these white people fucking crazy and miserable. And it's not good for anybody. But the violence of a slave against their master is 100% justifiable. If you're kidnapped in someone's basement and you kill the person that's kidnapping you, you should ask once or twice if you could get out, right? Can I leave? No. Okay, that's kidnapping. I'm trying to leave now, and then they hurt you. Like, okay, I'm being held against my will. You find a weapon, you kill that person, you escape. That's justifiable murder. You're allowed to do that because kidnapping is violence. If someone's holding you against your will and you kill them, it's probably stressful, but you're allowed. That's. I think everybody understands that's perfectly okay, and you deserve some therapy to deal with the trauma of it if that's how you're feeling. And all the slaves that in every situation had every right to react with that. Unfortunately, in so many cases, there's all kinds of reasons why they were kept from doing that, and or whether, you know, it's a very complex and very big thing. But I hate that he's just like, oh, you got to stand up for yourself.
And but at what point is that? They elect Aristide, and we overthrow Aristide. Then they elect Jovenel Moïse. Jovenel Moïse has assassinated a bunch of people with American connections, and then we install in 2021, like the United States installed the prime minister that we just ousted. Like, so we could say, okay, yeah, you got to get over the 200 years ago, but like we're still doing it.
Be about Haiti, but when you're throwing open the gates and just inviting anyone, in particular,
I guess third world. I guess your assumption there was that it is Haitian people that are creating the conditions on Haiti, and that if the Haitian people come to Springfield, they will recreate the conditions.
Well, but I don't think you
Haiti in Springfield. Whereas what I'm saying is that it's actually the U.S. that has.
I don't think you can entirely put it on.
Largely.
I don't think it can entirely put it on. This is all this racism that's going on around the Republican candidates. J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, you saw the debate. They're eating their dogs and their cats, and which is all made up bullshit. It's utterly enraging how much of how normalized and how little accountability these people face for this level of public racism. It's an old story too, in terms of the way American culture will demonize foreigners, people of color, Chinese. This happened a lot in the 1800s, as far as them eating animals that are offensive to our sensibilities. And it turns out the lady lost a cat. Her cat was in the basement. And J.D. Vance admitted that he lied. I don't know the videos or any of this stuff, but this stuff has been in the news. If you're watching this show and you're already up to here, this is already old news by now. I'm air quoting, but it's like this news has been cooking for a week or two. And so it fits very nicely into the American racism that is so endemic. I'm stuck on the word endemic. I'm not even honestly super confident what it means, but it's so disgusting what they've been doing to these poor people. And now the mob has been turned loose because of false stuff. Even if it's true, they don't deserve any of this anyway. But like J.D. Vance is ginning up terror threats. People are calling bomb threats into schools. They're closing schools. They're closing areas. The Haitian population there. And it's also got this disgusting kind of side point that Democrats are making, and that people are showing like, what, how dare you? These Haitians are getting these jobs in these factories, and they're all really good workers, and they're building up distressed homes, and they're very good people. Like they're giving Haitian people credit for what sounds like good things. We all like as Americans, we love people who work hard and who take care of their homes and look after their communities. But like the idea that they're justifying that these people don't deserve to be abused by the right and by the racism engine of America because of their labor use to capitalists is disgusting, in my opinion. Nevertheless, this story, and so some people like Walsh here are just going to be spewing bullshit about, oh, we can't have these Haitians who just open the gates and suddenly the Americans run over. Honestly, yes. Let's take the equal amount of Americans, white morons like me, ship us over to Haiti, and all of them can come here. I'm not serious. Obviously, I'm kidding. But like, respect this culture. These are beautiful people. These are good people. And they've been suffering. They were paying, I don't know the date, but what Grimm was referring to there in Grimm Tim is France was receiving payments as reparations from Haiti well into the 20th century. I'm not sure what date. I could probably stop and Google it, but for hundreds of years, like, 100 years or something since they had the only successful slave revolt that actually overturned the power system, which was its own bloody war with multiple attempts to retake it. And American hegemony, American imperialists like the Clintons have been imposing all kinds of capitalist overtakes of this people. We're the problem. Our country, our empire, our colonial capitalist overlords over these people. And they were paying France up to, I think I've heard, 40% of their GDP of that company product. And you're losing that much of your wealth, basically paying off a country protection money like a mafia state of a huge, powerful colonial power itself, France, so that they don't invade you, or so that America, like that's the terms. Okay, you guys don't want to be under our system? Well, guess what? This money is ours. And they had to pay it. The alternative was violence. It's insane. As if that doesn't mean anything. I was thinking about this too. Reparations. I'm for it. Now, I'm not going to give you the most eloquent answer here, and I'm asking you to like be patient if I get a few of the details wrong, but I think you know my intention here. But this is a good logical little for you, okay? For when you're talking about this. They can quantify, or at least there's been studies that quantify the trillions of dollars of wealth that was produced by unpaid labor, by slaves, by American chattel slavery. These people, their effort, their bodies, their human their human ingenuity. By that I just mean the human body's ability to tighten entropy is what it is. It's a value. Taking things from, I don't know why I'm already going off on this, macro states to micro states, basically. That's entropy. I'll get on that another day because I have this whole notion of it. But the crops that were grown, the work that was done, the last skilled trades in over the centuries with American chattel slavery. A lot of slaves were highly skilled artisans and craftspeople, but they were owned by others. They were owned by their kidnappers. And they produced the wealth that this nation is built on. Trillions of dollars. I don't have the numbers in front of me. And so we talk about reparations. We say, should we provide some of that money? Should we make up for it? Not to mention the, subsequent eras following the Civil War. I've read part of a book called Slavery by Another Name, and the terror state that our black friends and brothers and sisters, our black citizens, our I don't know, our family. I hate the word family. Honestly, the word family is very, I can go on about that. But like, do we not owe them something for all that? But they're not, the ones that are alive now aren't the ones that did all the work back then. We don't have family. I don't know. We could do something. What does it mean to do something for them? You could argue about that. I think it should be a lot of money. Just give them a whole bunch of fucking money. Dispossess a bunch of white people of their houses, which is what they should have done in the period right after the Civil War. One of the most fatal might not be the right. Well, maybe it is the right word, but one of the biggest mistakes was not dispossessing the wealthy white landowners after the Civil War and just distributing that land. Some black people did get land. A lot of them got run off their land and had it stolen, like all kinds of crazy stuff with sharecropping and whatever else. So I'm of course for reparations, and it's trillions of dollars of wealth produced over that time. And so here's the logical thing I was trying to say that I think is worth getting your head around. If people say, "Oh no, we don't deserve to give black people the wealth that that their ancestors produced and that this country was built upon," and if you accept someone saying that and you say, "Well, okay, well, do the people who received that wealth deserve it?" Well, yeah, they deserve it because their granddaddy, great-great-great-granddaddy owned up a bunch of properties and was a businessman, quote unquote, was a respected businessman. So the people who benefited from all that labor, the people who on the receiving end of the trillions of dollars of wealth production, we validate that they deserve it. But the people who have the descendants of those people, we validate that they deserve the power, the money, the wealth, the luxury, the influence to shape the future of society because of the way we allow the ruling class to function and determine society, determine so much about our planet and our world. We validate that they deserve to receive it, but the descendants of the people who did the work don't deserve to receive anything. That's fucked up. I don't think we're ever going to say $9 trillion over here, and now we're just going to transfer $9 trillion to this group. That's probably too simplistic. It's probably very untoward, unlikely. But there are absolutely ways that I think our society should step up and do something about this, including the cultural shift that's very desperately needed. Jesus Christ. The fucking South, man. Like, I'm not blaming that because it's also the ecosystem of that includes the highly racist North. Let's not act like it's the only source there, I'm saying. But like, could we get over it? I know that's like a thing. I don't like people just say get over it. I'm saying, like, could we start intentionally, like, doing the shadow work that we need to do collectively about this whole stuff, which should include, you know, just forking over shit tons of money to our black friends? Like, seriously, man, fuck, it's crazy. All right, so I hope that made sense. Do you get what I'm saying, though? If the descendants of the black people today don't deserve the wealth that their ancestors produced, why do the descendants of the people who got the wealth deserve that wealth? You have to justify that, and you can't. Okay, I think I finally actually summarized it. So here's the sick pay stuff. Matt Walsh doesn't want you to take a day off. He thinks you're a little baby bitch.
A side note, on the sick day thing is and you know, this will be unpopular especially with younger people, but
and older people.
You shouldn't be using sick days. Okay, I've used sick days maybe twice in 7 years, and in both of those cases, because I lost my voice and I couldn't speak, you know, you can't.
Oh, do you have like a hard job there, Matt? Just flapping your gums into a lapel mic? Do you even put on your own microphone there, buddy? I've put microphones on people. It's very demeaning to me. Put your own fucking microphone on. I did put a microphone on Lance Bass. One of the first times at the Young Turks, I was doing studio stuff. As like a, because they you kind of do a bunch of different jobs. It was like 2013, and there was a lady guest on, and she had this dress, like a shirt like he's wearing or I'm wearing. You could easily clip onto a bunch of spots. There's like, you know, it's fine to just clip onto your shirt, but she had this like dress on with no seams, and it was my job to like make sure she was mic'd up, and I was like, the fuck am I supposed to do now? I don't know. I'm not an experienced mic guy anyway. I mean, I knew how to like clip it, but I was like, I'm not just going to start grabbing at your dress to put on this. Anyway, side note. That's just a side note. Nothing to do with the story here. He talks for a living and other people do the work. I have to go edit this fucking podcast and post it, which is the part I hate the most. He doesn't do that. He's not all stressed out afterwards. This guy's rich. He gets paid a shit ton of money. What's the hourly rate? How much money does he make per word that he utters? $15? He makes so much money with one of the easiest jobs you could hope for that humanity has devised. And he said, I never take it there, only because my mouth could, or only because I couldn't do the basest thing I could.
Blame me for that. It's impossible to do a podcast when you can't speak. And even then, I still, and anyone who has been watching the show for a while, you know this, I still came into the office and recorded a video with subtitles when I lost my voice, if you recall.
See, that's just the good old American grit. That's what we call resilience. True manhood. Matt Walsh came in and sat there and did a thing and other people did work. Did you do the subtitling, Matt? Are you the video editor that does the subtitling? I'll tell you, captioning's annoying and tedious. Somebody who should unionize their workplace got paid for that. It's crazy.
But generally speaking, again, I know this is unpopular, but sick days are for children, okay? They're for kids in school who are trying to stay home so they don't have to take a test that day.
So he's suspicious of anybody who wants to heal and take a day off to rest. Humans are resting animals, man. We need a leisure ethic in this country, not a work ethic. Literally because we need to save the planet, honestly. It's not even about whether we need to work. We can produce so much fucking wealth, so many things using the scaling power of human knowledge as well as the incredible abilities from machinery, which has only really ever been applied to raise the income and the wealth and the hoarding ability of those at the very top, as opposed to reducing work hours by week and improving people's lives. And to any degree that anybody says capitalism raised anybody's living standard, no, it's the collective did the work. Capitalists fought every bit of progress regarding 5-day work weeks going from 6 days to 5 days, or regarding the 8-hour workday going from 12 to 8, or, you know, the various ways. It's each one of these has, you know, nuances. Children in factories, every single stage of that is because of a bunch of communists and labor activists and lefty people and queer people who are on the, you know, the people on the left said, fuck this, let's do something different. We could do 8-hour days instead of 10, 8-hour days instead of 12. Capitalists fought every single step of progress. So that's why the notion that capitalism is what raised people out of poverty is just fucking horseshit. Because who did the work? The collective. It's not the capitalists. They're the parasites. They're the inhibitors. We could do better for everybody on the planet if the ticks in charge who are implanted in the brainstem weren't so swollen. And most of us would accept some degree of a tick running things. That's the thing about capitalism. They're so fucking greedy because the thing requires that they maximize profit quarter after quarter. You're a failure if you only grow 5% when last year you grew 5.5%. Oh no, now the board is getting skittish. Oh no, now the investors don't want to, are worried. Now they're starting to lose our promises we made to our rich people. It's insane. People would accept a capitalism that just pulled back by like you guys are trying to fend off revolution. I mean, they're doing a great job of it. I think COVID is a great way to fend off revolution. Talk about nerfing people's ability to think, nerfing the possibility that people might revolt, a plague that will last a century that causes people to lose their cognitive ability. God damn. But if they just did a capitalism like a democratic social democracies like the Northern European countries, where all the studies frequently and regularly prove those are the happiest countries because those people get returned a decent share of government services in return. They're not perfect in all that way. And we call that socialism, which is not at all what it is. They do have much stronger unions. Some of those countries have sectoral bargaining. Some of them have experimented with sovereign wealth funds. Sweden, I think, did for quite a while. But if capitalism just settled into a generous social democracy, which is capitalism, well, I mean, which includes a capitalist, like still capitalist dictated kind of thing, people are fine. People don't mind sacrificing. We're conditioned to do that, but they got to squeeze harder. They got to go farther. They got to maximize that stuff. They got to grow by 5.5% or 6.5% instead of 6%, because otherwise the board will get upset. And it's all just about numbers on computers anyway. It's insane. Sorry, I keep getting distracted here.
With rare exception, taking a sick day as an adult should be pretty embarrassing for you. Calling your boss and saying, sorry, I can't come in today. My tummy hurts.
Bullshit. I think you should be able to call in tired. Sorry. Nah, it's just tired. I was up all night fucking. Isn't that great? Don't you remember that in your 20s? Once or twice, you know, you're just like, oh God, I'm so tired. Why? Having sex all night. Is that ever, if that's happened to you, leave a comment. No, don't. This is not appropriate for YouTube. But, oh man, will they ever recapture my youth? I'm so tired by like 8 o'clock. Right when the cat's fully rested. It's embarrassing. He thinks that you should not want to work while you're sick. I don't want to work while I'm healthy. Are you kidding me? This is nonsense. This is the most bootlicker bullshit coming from a softy like Matt Walsh, which you might have already seen the top of this tweet, which we're going to scroll up to in a second as soon as we get through the next 30 seconds of the video.
Is humiliating. You need to be at work. Okay? Adults don't have to.
It sets you free. There's a sign that says it sets you free. Okay? Work, work, work. I don't like that the bosses get to call what they do work. Elon Musk doesn't go to work. He goes to boss. We need a verb. It's crazy that somebody's sweeping the fucking floors at Waffle House. By the way, Waffle House, the CEO is like $2 billion. Is it worth billions? There's now some sort of regulatory intervention coming. But like they charge each employee money for food, whether they use the meal or not. It's insane that they would charge them at all. Restaurants waste so much. I mean, they throw away so much food. Utter craziness. But let's just say you're working a crappy job somewhere and you have to do it sick. I kind of forgot the point I was getting at. Let's keep going.
Time to be sick. You don't have time for it. That's. I was just having this.
No, dumbass. We literally have the time for it. That's the whole purpose of society, in my opinion. You don't have time to be sick. Yes, we do. Why are we human? Because when humans do stuff together in groups, using technology, using knowledge gained from the past, which is social cooperation across time, vertical cooperation, Horizontal cooperation is people you're alive with currently, but we're also cooperating with all the ancestors who learned stuff, invented stuff, developed systems, developed processes. That's what pisses me off about this entire thing. And I went to fucking school for industrial distribution management. Literally studied manufacturing, operations, marketing, and distribution. People in my degree that were, you know, in that field would become consultants and stuff, or start businesses and shit. And it's insane. And I was attracted to it because it was like intuitively, in 20 years later, I learned what autism is and how my brain works in terms of systems and stuff. But like, I was attracted to it because it was like a engineering. It's actually in engineering schools and some other state schools or sorry, schools. I don't know. It was like the 90s, late 90s. So it was a long time ago. Maybe it's different now, but I loved, like, I just could, that's why it resonated with me, because it's kind of a systems studying thing. It was business bullshit. It was a lot of, you know, but I studied this stuff. And I've run a business. And the whole purpose should be that we have time to not work. They don't want you not working. They don't want to build a world where you have time to not work, because people who have time on their hands can learn, can grow, can develop, can create new businesses too. I think people are often very entrepreneurial, or just fucking relax. I hate thinking about, like, how do I get out of this hole that I'm in? Oh, I guess maybe I can come up with some product or sell some shit on the internet, or maybe, you know, like, you just have to contribute to the pollution engine that's going to destroy the planet. None of this makes any sense. We don't have time. The reason you might not feel like you have time to work is because wealth hoarders who don't deserve it, who have designed a system so that softies like Matt Walsh can scoop up oceans of luxury affordability, meaning they can have lifetimes of luxury on your back. Your time becomes their wealth, and your exhaustion becomes their strength. Very nicely said, Hank.
Conversation with my kids recently, actually, because I was kind of under the weather, and my kids were aware of that, and they said, "Well, so why are you going to work?" I said, "Because I don't have time to be sick. Okay, I don't know. I can't be. I don't have time. But you are sick, yeah. But I don't have time for it. So,
what is this? The Predator, Jesse the Body Ventura? Ain't got time to bleed. You're surprised I was good. Sounded that good, didn't it? You felt like Jesse was in the room, didn't you?
It's like I'm operating as though I'm not.
Okay, so he's got to go to work. I don't want to joke around about his kids. I don't leave his kids out of it. But okay, hope the kids grow up safe and healthy and reject their dad's ideology. I'll just say that. So he's modeling for his children that you go to work when you're sick. And then I read a little bit of this, but some people in here are like, Matt Walsh's grind culture of hawking toys stuffed Matt Walsh as a diapered baby dolls. Truly, how could society ever function if he stopped working? Says Queen Diana V. Yeah, there was someone in here who's like, I'm a boss, or like some bosses aren't all bad people per se. Not saying that, you know, it's not, that's the kind of notion of luck that I hate about the society, is that if you're lucky, you get a good boss, you could have an okay life, or, you know, or you get managers that are cool. It's partially possible. But you know, to people are saying in here, like, no, like, I've had workplaces where my boss got mad that I came in sick because he didn't want me to get the other workers sick. This stuff is contagious. You're going to do less productive work anyway. It's going to delay how fast you can get better also, you know. But then a lot of these work type environments, these capitalist enterprises, will have such a tight line that you can't even lose a worker's productivity. So the pressure to show up and be that worker, because they don't have the capacity built in so that when someone's sick, others can fill in for them while they're gone, right? Like, that's very common. Or in a lot of places, like, even, and this happens a lot in like YouTube production, or like weekly talk show host sort of stuff, where, or if you have to meet some sort of quota thing where you get like a Monday off, but then now you just got to do like 5 days worth of work in 4 days. Like, that sucks as well. So no, the actual point, buddy, is that we have time. Machines, the efficiencies gained by collective action, all of this should give us the time. We don't have the time because the bosses take it, because your time becomes their currency and their money. So people pointed out, this is Evan Loves Worf. I also love Worf, Evan, on Twitter here. This is his job, and it's a screenshot of 2 of Matt Walsh's videos. Reviewing woke kids shows with Matt Walsh. Reviewing woke kids shows with Matt Walsh, part 2. 2 years later. And there's thumbnails of this guy. He does have a very thick beard. I am jealous because my beard fell out. And it's starting to eat into my mustache now. It's just, that's going to really cause another round of meltdowns. So go to work. Tell a camera about how kid shows are woke. And you can do that sick if you're like Matt Walsh. This made me think of, though, back in the 2022s, I searched for it, found it. Our old friend of the show, Lance from the Surfs. He's not a friend of the show. I hope someday he would become one. Great jawline. Leftist Mafia's own Lance from the Surfs. I think that's his full name. It's on his birth certificate, I'm assuming. Writes, Jesus Christ, the same crew of alphas. Didn't need an apostrophe there, buddy. Sorry about that. I also fuck up my all the time. Sorry, didn't mean to call you out there, my friend. Who rail against the left being soy boys. Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, Michael Tracy, etc. All admit on camera none of them know how to do their own laundry. This connects to something I was kind of saying earlier in this podcast, that living alone and doing all your own stuff. I was talking about how like single people die of choking and back cancer. But when you live alone and you don't have someone living with you, and when you live in a group situation or an intentional community or some sort of, this is why we, America for so many years, it was thrilled at its family structure designed by Nazis like Ford Motor Company head, Henry Ford, and others. He actually had, it's the Fordist, I don't know if it's called the Fordist Compromise or getting, but if you just Google Henry Ford, Ford Motor Company, family inspectors, like they would require people lived specifically according to their nuclear family unit. This thing is an experiment. It's a social engineering concept that is useful to capitalists because it's about controlling the way their workforce reproduces. They need you to be consumers and reproductive units. They need social reproduction. They can't atomize society so much that they stop producing babies, so there's new workers. So they created a system where gender as a labor category, as a labor distinction, was forced into all kinds of horrible domestic situations. Now, if you got lucky, maybe your husband wasn't abusive, or maybe you actually had experienced love or something. But for decades after decades after decades, up until the 1970s, women couldn't get a bank account by themselves. And these guys want to go back to no-fault divorce because you had a slave in your house, because you got to be the king inside your castle. Because in a hierarchical world where you hate your boss, you're working some shit job, you're tired all the time, drinking alcohol a lot too, like the alcoholism that kind of flowed out of the satanic mills and the way that people were just dealing with their traumas at the time. It's not like human nervous systems were different back then. We just have a very different way of approaching psychology conversations. We're still all fucked up about a lot of that. And inside your doors where you got those children, guess what? They're yours. The divine right of kings is distributed into your house. That's how you got to experience that. If you were a man with a wife and their kids. And for a lot of families, that meant abuse. That meant severe, severe, horrifying abuse. If not your family, you definitely have heard of it. And you know what I'm talking about. You know there's a lot of horrible stuff. Shit went down in my family way back when. Something that kind of animated my curiosity or my sort of quest, my wonderings about what the hell is going on here, because I'm always kind of like pulling back from the individualism of it all and seeing things from a collective perspective, but also being confused from a collective perspective, not having an answer. But like, why were my grandpas abusive monsters in the 50s to their children? Really bad stuff. Why? I'm not asking you to answer that. That's not something I want anybody to leave a comment about. Leave a comment, but like that's a question. Like, wouldn't that be an interesting documentary? Why did this all happen? Why were children living in such horrifying conditions with a parent? Not that it was only the men that did the abuse. There was certainly abusive women. We always have to point that out so that the men don't get too upset. But these were vectors of severe abuse, and they're anti-human. The nuclear family is not healthy. It's not in line with the way human beings evolved. We did not evolve with two people raising children. We evolved with community parenting. There might have been degrees of responsibility within a community, but it was always shared. You're supposed to have about 10 moms and 10 dads, basically. Maybe a few weirdo uncles like me who didn't reproduce because they're too weird and stuff, but I'm the one out in the woods carving sticks into spears and making stuff, because that's what I would have done. I would have been some weird tinkerer. I like to just do that. I dream of having a farm where I just make TikToks where I like upgrade a barn. Like, that would be so fun. That sounds awesome. You know, everybody would have been participants, though. I would totally love to live in a world where, like, I wasn't a parent, but I was in some way played a role in making sure everybody, you know, helping be part of a healthy community for selfish reasons as well. So I have this podcast idea I want to start. I need to find partners for it or something, or do something about it. But I really genuinely think we should do a podcast called Socialism for Selfish Pricks Like You and Me. Let's talk about selfishness and then relate that to socialist principles. I don't want to live in a world filled with assholes, which is why I want a world filled with healthy children, because healthy children, healthy childhoods, safe, healthy childhoods, because childhood is filled with its own difficulties, even in the best circumstances. Just learning social stuff. Someone dies in your family, people get injured, someone gets hit, you know, there's still going to be trauma, but we don't need to add to it. We can minimize that. I'm not talking about protecting kids from those realities. I'm talking about a healthy childhood where they're safe to experiment, to learn their learning styles, to try things and fail, to develop skills, to be healthy, to be safe, to develop a healthy sense of self, to separate from their parents in terms of individuating their own, you know, rights. And this is how you produce the fewest amount of assholes, because fucked up kids become deranged adults, or adults who go through phases and then deal with it, which is a lot of us, right? Oh, geez. Yeah. Well, that explains it all. Okay, I'm going to get some therapy. Going to do a bunch of shit. Going to Google the word somatic. Going to get into tarot readings. Going to drink myself silly until it, until that stops doing any good for anybody. The less coping we have to do as adults, but see, all that coping that you do as an adult because of some of the stuff that went down in your childhood, that's time you could have spent fomenting revolution and unionizing your workplace. You see how it serves the masters? It makes you busy and tired. And if you're lucky, on the other side of it, you've grown some scar tissue that you could live with. That's kind of the best we can hope for right now, right? I'm really rambling here. So yeah, none of these guys know how to do any laundry. Let's listen and see what they have to say. Sorry, pausing, just back up. Connecting it to the Matt Walsh stuff is what I'm kind of, why I thought about this, is that all these non-soy boys, what are they called? Soy men? All these soy men, real, true American men, love sucking on their cigars, sipping their brown drinks, leather chairs, performing masculinity for each other. That's something I've always experienced. Not that I had a perfect dial in on it, but like, I'm fairly masculine, no offense. But like, I think my normal register is on the masculine side of this thing. If you accept that premise that masculine, feminine, sure, I'm even open to being talked out of that whole fucking notion too. Because we're all human. But I'm a guy. I love my big beard. I love my tiny feet. I love my chest hair. I've always liked being a big, strong man. I always felt good about it. That's why I'm like losing the ability to use my wrists fully fucking kills me at my woodworking job. See the hammer? Oh, the camera's moving over a little bit. I've been so active. Has the cat made an appearance yet? See? I collect pine cones and mallets that I built myself. Fucking rad, dude. Those are walnut wedges that you use to just jam it in there with a bunch of glue and stuff. See? Manly. I'm so manly, I went bald twice. What am I saying? Oh, at the grocery store. I love it when this happens. I was there. Lady goes, sir, you know, sir. I was in the soap aisle. Like cleaning aisle. Not like bath soap, but like, you know, sprays and shit, laundry and shit. And this lady's like, oh, excuse me. She goes, can you help me? Can you reach up? And I immediately could tell what she wanted. She was pointing top shelf. And I'm like, oh, I fucking love when people, this happens maybe once a year or so. I should probably just hang out at the grocery store and hope it happens because I do really enjoy it. She needed me to grab something off the top there. She goes, I'm looking for an All. It's the brand All. This podcast sponsored by All. All.com. Promo. No, okay. And so I go and I grab it, and it actually was the wrong. It's a white bottle, but it was backwards, and it turned out to not be All. And she was like, "Oh no, it's not All." And I told her, I was like, I really like when people ask me. I told her exactly basically what I said to you now. And then I talked about Matt Walsh for 5 minutes until she called security. No, I'm joking. But I loved being of use, using my body, my manly body. Sucks that my wrists don't work anymore. I can't fix up that barn. Even if I could get a property where I had an old barn I could repair. It's devastating. So I've been in masculine spaces. I've seen it as a white guy from the Midwest, probably in a way that white guys from the Midwest could relate to, but a lot of y'all aren't white guys from the Midwest in America, might not see it. And I'm reporting back. It's exhausting pretending to be masculine for other men. That's what they do it for. I know that's a big conversation. There's a lot to say there, but masculinity is performed for men to prove themselves belonging. Or conformity, actually, I would say. That's another thing I'm thinking about a lot lately. It's like the difference between conformity and belonging. You should belong. I think a world I want to live in is one where people feel like they belong, not one where they feel like they're forced to conform. And a lot of what masculinity imposes, the narrow kind of definitions, and that's why I say, like, I'm in that kind of. I'm down for it, you know? I'll watch competitive puzzles on YouTube with you after watching season 6 of The Good Place. And I say stuff like, have you ever seen Ted Danson at Albertsons? I think I've seen Ted Danson at Albertsons. He's pretty tall and he's got like really nice white hair, even for an old man. He's pretty attractive. Do you want to go to IKEA and see if they have any of those lamps that we were talking about? I want to say that to somebody. So let's see these manly men boys talk about how manly men they are with their Manly Men show and whether or not they're able to do anything in their own house.
Laundry. So I think I have that one.
I like it. All right, Drew.
Okay, so they're answering this question. This is kind of like a Q&A game. This is a relaxed segment. I don't think this is their heavy politics, but it's would Drew rather do laundry or do dishes? So laundry or dishes is the question.
This is a trick question because I have not done anything around the house for 40 years. I've been a complete...
Look, they all relate. There's Matt Walsh in the bottom right. Ben Shapiro, there in the middle, or bottom left. Michael Knowles up in the upper left. I can't. I haven't done anything in my house for 40 years. My spouse slave has been doing all of it. Who the fuck is that guy anyway? I don't know.
Completely useless. But it's clear that if I had to choose, it would have to be dishes because she was just out of town for a month, and I actually called her up and said, "How do you do laundry?" So I think dishes is the only thing I know how to do.
Useless. White mediocrity on display. Come on, man. Do you know how many fucking dishes I do, by the way, ladies, when I watch season 7 of The Good Place? All I ever do is wash these fucking pans. I'm constantly doing dishes. This is why people need to live together. So when I do dishes for other people. We cook for each other. Not everybody has to work that much. The whole fucking point of humanity is that we don't do individual living. To be fair, I definitely need to be alone a lot of the time because I find people overwhelming, even people I like. That's part of the autism.
All right, to the answers. Ben, you answered dishes. Mrs. Shapiro said, I'm not sure Ben knows how to do laundry, so I'll go with the dishes, which he does quite often, and she threw in a little thanks, hun. Matt, you answered, I hate them both, but dishes. Your wife said dishes. And she also threw in, he doesn't know how to do the laundry. Again.
So they asked the wives for input. He doesn't know how to do laundry? So who's doing the work at Matt Walsh's house? The guy who won't take a sick day. It's easier to go to work when you don't do any work at your house. All this fucking housework is labor. All this housework, and it's very coded to gender and race too. A lot of the feminism, like the white feminism sort of stuff, leaves out a completely different set of rules for what people of color were expected to do and the kind of labor they were expected to perform, or the amount of time they're supposed to perform. And you're some nanny for some rich person, and meanwhile your own children are being neglected back at home. And so these guys have their spouse slaves. Makes it easy for you to go do your podcasting millionaire job. It's just so sinister. But you can see why they defend it. It's easier for them. The hierarchy is easier for those at the top, for the people above. It's very easy, and you don't have to actually be all that meritorious. Your mediocrity does not inhibit you.
And being thrown under the bus. True. Michael.
True, I don't know how to do laundry. I started doing laundry when I was 12 or something. And now that I'm in my 40s, I barely ever do laundry because I'm a dirty pig. I don't like doing laundry. It's a pain in the ass. But that's also related to like the executive dysfunction of like ADHD. I have a pile of clean shit that I've moved to the bed to start folding. I stacked up some underwear and then I got distracted and then it just wound up back on a pile of other stuff. And then so I'm pretty sure it's all clean. I've lost track of what's clean in. I've got some socks. Okay. So but if I know how to do fucking laundry, dishes and cooking, and I get so lonely doing it all for myself. It's fucking lonely, man. If I had my coven of polyamorous kitchen wives or pizza oven wives, as I like to fantasize, one pizza oven per wife, they can go have sex with their husbands as much as they want. Sure, fine. Everybody is respected. Open communication. And we're doing dishes for each other. We're having popcorn and ice cream. Sometimes at the same time. And these facial expressions I'm making, literally, put popcorn on your ice cream. It's awesome. Caramel corn on your ice cream. Okay? Here's another tip. Cereal as a topping for ice cream. Just put some chunky shit on your ice cream. That's all. Little trail mix even. Mix shit up with your ice cream. Everything's better. Maybe not meat. Maybe not ham chunks. So they're not. Okay, let's keep.
Dishes. Your wife said neither, but if there was a gun to his head, he would choose dishes. And
neither. So they asked his wife. That was Michael Knowles. These guys have babysitters. No offense, I'm not sure. But like the construct of this relationship is they need babysitters because they're emotionally underdeveloped and they're trapped in the toddler phase. The helpless child whose wifey does all the work.
Drew, finally, you answered, I don't do anything but the dishes if I had to. And your wife put, again in all caps here, very forceful answer, since he doesn't know how to do laundry, as we learned when I was out of town for several weeks, I'm guessing it's the dishes.
Alpha boy, someone wrote on here. Alpha boys don't know how to clean themselves. Yeah. Yep. That's a good summary. So there you go. That's the end of that one. We nailed it. Okay. 2 hours and 26 minutes. I'm like a quarter away through the show. I think we're going to call it. Let's just do this real quick because I don't think it's going to be anything. I don't even know why I decided to do this. I'm not even looking to make fun of Randy Rhoads or anything, but this Randy Rhoads, I have to confess my ignorance in a lot of ways, but she's like a pretty popular, talented talker. Like, I think she's good at her profession as a radio sort of host in the lib sphere, kind of I think she's part of the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour. Could be wrong. Forgive me for sort of, oh, here we go. Let's just read it. Randy Rhoads, #1 ranked progressive radio talk show host, political commentator, entertainer, and writer. The Randy Rhoads Show was broadcast nationally on Air America Radio and Premier Radio networks from 2004 to the 2014. Rhoads represents aggressively independent media. No, that's my beat. Sorry, just kidding. The Miami Herald described her as a chain-smoking bottle blonde, part Joan Rivers, part shock jock Howard Stern, and part Saturday Night Live's coffee talk lady. But mostly she's her rude, crude, loud, brazen, gleeful self. Rhoads and her show won numerous awards for journalism and broadcasting, including Radio Inc.'s Most Influential Woman, Radio Inc.'s Most Influential Women's List, multiple years, Talkers Magazine's Woman of the Year, and the Judy Jarvis Memorial Award for contributions to the talk industry by women. So, I'm not even looking to prove or make any kind of point here, honestly. I think she's part of the, like, as I said, Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour with John Fugelsang and Hal Sparks, and sort of on a, I just think it's an interesting, it's easy to sort of stay in your own slice of the log. You know, we're all like a different type of mushroom growing in this like ecosystem. And there's definitely some sort of ecosystem here that she appeals to that is tangential to sort of lefty stuff. I doubt it's anywhere near where like a socialist sort of advocacy sort of thing I'm trying for is, I bet. But I don't want to make these assumptions either. Anyway, I just saw that the algorithm fed this to my shit, and I just clicked on it and said, fuck it, I'm getting ready for the podcast. Let's just click play and see what happens. Hopefully that's not music that will, I might have to jump around here. Let's just go.
Overnight, the Queen of Talk lending her star power.
I see. Okay, so we're starting with a Good Morning America video of the Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey appearance, it seems to be, right? That's what I'm reading here. Yeah, I think so. And actually I have that video too that we're going to jump around to. I might do a second podcast today.
Power to boost Kamala Harris and get out the vote, hoping to reach the critical sliver of voters that will determine this race.
Please welcome Kamala
Harris.
In a highly produced virtual rally, Oprah trying to harness enthusiasm for Harris and keep her
What if they fell over? Like when you hug and like somehow you just shift your gravity too much and you just tip over. Kamala and Oprah both take a bad spill, like just one of those freak things. I fucking fell down once in front of my brothers, just like I tipped over. We were playing paintball actually, and he was watching me run, and I just tipped over and I fell, and I just remember hearing my brother laughing. It's one of my favorite memories. I was fine. Everything was good.
Momentum going, urging Americans to vote their values.
Let me tell you, it is about character, and it's about decency and respect, and all.
Unless you're Palestinian, and you know we're not going to really think too much about values if that's the case. Oh boy.
Things that we were raised to believe about what it means to be an American citizen and pursue the American dream.
Harris doing something she.
There's babies that have yet to be born that will be born, and then Kamala Harris will send bombs that will murder those babies in Palestine. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Good values.
Clearly does, fielding questions directly from voters about the issues top of mind for them, from immigration to the cost of living to reproductive rights.
The former president chose 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would overdo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did as he intended.
Speaking out for the first time, the family of Amber Thurman, the 28-year-old mother who was reportedly the first publicly known woman to lose her life as a result of Georgia's abortion ban.
You're looking at a mother that is broken.
Yeah, like people fucking getting just devastated, just killed because of these onerous rules they've placed on female reproductive care. And so doctors force them to sit in parking lots until they reach like thresholds of pain and trouble that they can only then justify providing health care, because the law would then come down. This fucking Handmaid's Tale nightmare world, the same world that the Walshes and these dudes would all love to impose. These guys, the guys whose wives do all their work for them, no wonder they need babies, because they need their fucking mediocrity upheld. And these poor people, these poor women, you know, and this has happened in Texas, and I know there's other states. Women have been imprisoned for miscarriages and you know, lot of stuff can go wrong with pregnancy. It's complicated. It's dangerous. It's really traumatizing for the body. It's expensive, much to our great shame. Some obviously have easy pregnancies. Sometimes it doesn't go so hard, but we have the technology. We just don't have the decency or the cultural character to actually care about these people. And if we let the right wingers take control even more, sadly, they've already reached this stage where they're killing women who wouldn't be dead. And what kind of society does that to its own people? It's fucking evil, not to mention the racist disparity that happens with the way black people are, perceived by medical professionals. There's a lot of horrifying stuff about that.
The worst pain ever that a mother, that a parent could ever feel.
According to ProPublica, after a medical abortion, Amber suffered from a grave infection, but doctors waited 20 hours to operate. By then, it was too late.
I'm just so sorry. The word over and over again in her mind is preventable.
Yes.
Yeah. So is she on death's door before you actually decide to give her help?
Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
And on the issue of gun violence, Oprah noting Harris herself is a gun owner.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun. I know that.
Okay, sorry. So I was going to do this video. We might jump onto it and then click through it, but I don't have to now that we're watching a recap, because this is like the highlight sort of stuff of it. Highlight might be a little inappropriate word, but then we're going to see what Randy Rhoads says. We'll click a bit about there, and I'll jump over to the Oprah video here. I mean, I have it right here.
24, let's go.
Let's go. And then we will end the podcast, and I'll probably do another one right afterwards. So I am tired though, but okay, fine. We're going. We're just rolling here, right? This is essentially streaming offline that I'm going to edit and upload.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I hear that. I hear that.
Backing up. She says someone breaks into her house, they're getting shot. Fortress Brain America. I mean, I'm not against being violent to somebody entering my house without my consent, right? Like, but like, I think I do. Violence is persuasive, and I'm not a pacifist at all. In fact, if you come at me, I'm probably going to go. I don't have an off switch. I don't really. Yeah, I don't. I don't believe in fair fighting either, especially if it's like a violent, intentional thing. Fair fighting consensually, sure, like a fight, but no, I'm not a. Yeah, I'm currently fantasizing about the violence I would be capable of inflicting on somebody, and the trauma that would then flow from that event. I don't like it at all. I don't want to build a world where people think they should break into anybody's house. Crime reduction, it means, for me, you start with desperation reduction. Okay. But then, setting all that aside, this lady is going to be the president, and she's talking about shooting somebody who comes into her house. Come on. I mean, this is very relatable. I just related to it. Americans relate to it. Americans all fantasize themselves being a gun-toting thing. I'm thinking right now of a story of a sheriff heard a noise in his garage. This is a trained professional, by the way, not just your average gun owner. Someone that the community entrusts to make decisions regarding the application of violence and powerful authority that flows from violence. And this is years back, but so he gets his gun, hears rummaging around, gets ready, fires through the door. Right? Opens the door, sees his daughter covered in blood. His daughter came home. He fucking shot his own kid. Throws his daughter in a car and crashes on the way to the hospital. How'd that work? This thing eats bodies up. It chews up people. We associate violence with safety in America. And until we stop doing that, we'll never get rid of the guns. We'll never get rid of the idea that you have to either be prepared for violence or violence and its preparation, violence and its threat. I have a lot to say about violence. I think it's a really interesting, sad topic, but I even in the most ideal world you could build, I don't think you'd get rid of it. You can't. I honestly just don't. But like ultimately there's a way to minimize, and there's a way to build a world where it's not the source of safety, which is what we have in a colonial empire like we have. But anyway, so Kamala's doing this. You come into my house, I'm going to kill you. A lot of Americans, yeah, this is just fortress brain craziness, though. I find this comment so weird.
In my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that. But my staff will deal with that later. Yeah.
Get your bodyguards to do the shooting, Kamala. Come on. What a ridiculous thing to say.
Yes, yes.
I rewound it, by the way.
I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
Oh, okay, we missed it. All right, whatever. Let's just keep playing.
But my staff will deal with that later. Yeah.
God, that was good. Did anybody watch that? Anybody in this audience watch that thing last night?
Okay, now we're on Randy. See, I would love a career where I just have this goofy office and I just like flap about a bunch of bullshit all the time. I could do that. I have the time. I can't pull it together to get. That documentary is killing me, man. It's my energy. So anyway, so here's Randy talking about stuff. Let's just see what she says. Shout out to Randy, not trying to come at her with any ill intention.
That was so good. That was so good. Kamala Harris, United for America. Oh,
that's an Oprah impression, by the way. Oprah does the blah, 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 blah. Bernie's line is end of discussion. So Kamala Harris, so Oprah will say, I'll have a junior bacon cheeseburger and a vanilla milkshake. Right? That's what she would order at the Arby's.
and that was definitely produced by Oprah's production company, Harpo. There's no question. It looked like the Oprah show.
Harpo is Oprah backwards, by the way. I know I just blew some of your minds.
I mean, the audience and the cutaways and the crying, everyone was hysterical crying in that audience, because when you're talking about the Supreme Court's decisions, when you're talking about the economy, when you're talking about COVID or any of the mismanagement that had occurred.
Right. Let's jump ahead 26 minutes. Live from 3 to 5 p.m.
Man who truly will never admit, even though he got caught doing the do.
Look, it's got a Ruth Bader Ginsburg doll. Looks like it's next to a Barack Obama. Looks like it's, and that might be a Biden. Not sure what this guy here is. Sorry, it's bad audio podcasting. The rest of it, I'm not. Is that Tom Cruise? I can't quite get a read on all of them. Is that Condoleezza Rice? No, I don't doubt that would be an unusual bobblehead doll thingy.
It's him. It's him. It's his handle. It's his. He put his real profile on there. He put his real name.
I don't know what she's talking about. Let's jump ahead. She takes phone calls, which is kind of interesting. I'm always kind of I've had this thought to do my show here more, talk about other shows as well. I want to do some Sam Cedar stuff. I watch the Majority Report a lot. Not to like make a big stinker or anything, but like I don't know. Sometimes they talk about stuff. I'm like, I want to say stuff about that too. But like him on the PBD podcast, I think would be an interesting breakdown, like a react video or something for me to watch. So here's the phone number up. Let's see if she gets a listener, a caller. These are always interesting. I knew this wouldn't be a total waste.
On anything, because it's going to get real hinky, real janky. It already is in Georgia. Okay, Georgia. I got to tell you what. They have this new election board in Georgia that is full of, it's a 5-person election board. It's 3 Trump election deniers, 3 people that do not accept the results of the free and fair election that happened almost 5 years ago at this point. Okay. And so today there was a vote 3-2. Guess which 3 to require that Georgia count all the ballots by hand. By hand. You're talking like 5 million ballots to be counted by hand. And just so you know, the machine count is more accurate than a hand count.
Yeah, yeah, that's insane. And I agree. Like, like my earpiece came out. The way Republicans use procedural election shenanigans like that, requiring hand count, knowing even if you get an accurate hand count, that those results will be delayed, and therefore that'll give their scheme time to work. I know Lindsey Graham, evil bastard, has been in Nebraska, I want to say. I didn't look too closely at it, but he's trying to shift the way that they assign their, delegates based on the election in order to favor the Republicans. And like, these people don't believe in democracy. I mean, clearly. Yeah, I hate that they get away with all this shit. And, these sexy liberal comedy tour types she's right to be upset about it. I feel like I'm supposed to be criticizing. I'm really not. I'm just curious.
Hand counts, they leave a lot of error and room for mistakes. People count something twice, or they're counting, and two pieces of paper stick together, and the one ballot doesn't get counted, and the numbers then don't match. So the machine number doesn't match with the hand count number, and I promise you, the machine count is the accurate one, right? But anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on like that in Georgia, but North Carolina obviously is now in play, and if Kamala should actually secure the electoral votes in North Carolina by winning the majority of the votes in North Carolina, there is no path for Donald Trump that I can find.
Okay, I want to get a caller. Clicking through here. She's doing news stuff. All right, let's go back to like right where...
With the free speech TV, distribution that we are lucky enough to have, right? But you all know that I have always said that women will die, and that is why you stay out of the conversation when it comes to abortion. You just stay out of it, because a doctor and the woman who is facing the consequences of a pregnancy that is unwanted or went sideways or is terminal, or the woman is unhealthy and didn't want to be pregnant, the woman who has some sort of a disease where her body would be taxed to the limit and she might die from an additional pregnancy, and she already has children that she loves and cares for daily, stay out of it. And people said, it's not, they won't die. Women won't die. I don't know what you're talking about. They're not going to go back to the back alley.
I think get an abortion because you fucking want one. All those reasons are valid too, she mentioned, but just your body. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit what the reason is. Anyway, let's keep, guys. Let me jump. Let me find a caller. I'm gonna edit. We'll find a caller.
Really, and then Aliva, she chooses that denied her mother canonically was Lieutenant outrates what I'm saying.
Speak to Randy.
After, and it is line fund dollars. Especially really did or free match.
And of course, win Friday.
You. And
okay, looks like we got a caller to watch here. They're running some promotion stuff here, but yeah, she's about to talk to somebody.
Just click on the donate button, and it will be matched. It will be matched by 2 other people. So again, double match day. Thank you, Brother David.
It's Frontline Thunder's fabulous Freedom Friday, sister.
It's Freaky Friday.
And it's very Freaky Friday. A couple of takeaways from last night's wonderful thing.
Did you watch it?
A few more of them. Oh, of course. And of course, when the Eleanor Roosevelt of acting showed up, I shrieked. But I had forgotten.
Is that Meryl Streep? Eleanor Roosevelt of acting? I don't know what that means. It sounds like this is like a regular friend, maybe even a regular on-air person. She seemed very familiar with the person. I don't know. Let's just keep listening.
How much I miss the Oprah in that format.
Yeah, me too.
And real people and the actuality of it.
I know.
The second thing was, and this is just me, yesterday was the anniversary of the premiere of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Remember, the Oprah really loves Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, well, who doesn't? Come on.
Exactly, and she who can turn the world on with her smile being there on that.
Love is all around.
Love is all around. Oh, wow, that really gives you a sense for their demo. I'm going to jump for a caller here. Let's see if we got someone else. I want to see if it's someone she doesn't know.
Illegal.
Boop, 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 boop.
But close it, it's going to get delayed. But if they...
All right, I don't know. I'm not going to work too hard on this. There was some guy talking, but it sounded like a producer relaying her some info. So I haven't. I don't know.
Can delay it.
We'll just play a couple more seconds and wrap this, and then jump over to the Oprah Kamala thing, and then we can call it a night because we're already at like almost 3 hours. Fuck.
Long enough. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who's right. It doesn't matter who's wrong. It doesn't matter if it's legal. It doesn't matter if it's illegal. It doesn't matter if it's anything. It doesn't matter if the candidate is so bad that this person has to lose. It doesn't matter. What matters is delaying. What matters is creating in people's minds the same big lie, the same illusion that something's being taken from them. And that makes people violent, as you know. As you know. But these election boards, all they're allowed to do is recommend things. That's it. But here they are changing it 40 days out. So just, gird your loins, everybody. Because if it's close, if people sit it out, if people, count on somebody else to use their power.
Okay, I'm nervous about the copyright music. Music just causes all kinds of issues. So let's just switch to this. Oprah and Kamala. Probably, I'll copyright it out too. With the, oh, God, hold on.
Inspired over 100.
All right, we got this opening package here. I want to see this set in Oprah's intro. Billionaire. My mom fucking would go crazy to go to an Oprah show. I'd probably have to go with her to make sure she was able to like figure out how to park and stuff. Me in my like sweatpants, looking all bald and fucked like weird about my beard. Yeah.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. 2 million, 1.9 million streams on Kamala Harris's YouTube channel. Premiered September 19th, which was 2 days ago.
Thanks for joining us for this very special.
Okay, sorry, I guess back up 5 seconds. Look at the background. That's kind of fascinating. So is this this is a flat screen, but they created depth by staging back like each shot is on risers. Isn't that interesting? I have not seen that before. That's works. Yeah. I mean, it's cluttery and a bit chaotic, but it does create the sense that is kind of a thing that goes back, plus with these angled lines that go all the way straight up, or that go back up. Not straight up. That's exactly what not angled means. Sorry, I fucked that. You know what I mean? You know what I was saying. Look how, is this chair? What a fucking ugly chair. What's with this wooden front? Why is there a cutting board? Sorry, audio listeners, but it's like a white leathery chair looking thing. It's probably expensive because it's an Oprah thing. I mean, who knows? It's a TV set, but it's like the front part that would face your legs, like face your calves, is a flat board, and it looks like it's way up high. Like you kind of sink into a chair. A chair is a soft thing usually. I like a wooden chair too, but that looks really uncomfortable. Maybe I don't know. That's messing with my head.
Everybody on screen, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's the side of the chair.
Special...
Okay. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, very clearly that's just the side of the chair. The side of the chair can be a cutting board, but the part that your thighs rest on, no, that would be very uncomfortable. Also, I was like, because there are a lot of design type of things that aren't intuitive, but some clever designer came up with something. So maybe that's what I was thinking. That's the side of the chair. Okay, fine. Kamala and Oprah are both like, oh, my legs are getting numb. Can we stand up and stretch out? Oh God, these chairs are so horrible. Two of the most powerful people on the planet with they both have to get their legs amputated because of the shitty chair. Okay, that's the side of the chair.
Event, Unite for America!
I swear, if I...
And that's exactly what we're doing live tonight, uniting from Farmington Hills in Oakland County, Michigan.
Yes.
We have 400 people in our audience and thousands more. Hello, all of you on screen. Hello, everybody on screen.
Look at him.
Thousands more joining
Low
us
frame
on
rate.
screen. And I am here because I care deeply about the future of our country. And I know that all of you do too. You care about the future of our country. And we just saw on this tape this grassroots, people-powered movement behind Kamala Harris has unleashed a unifying force unlike anything we've seen in politics in a very long time. And I know lots of people are feeling it because it actually is hope and joy rising. And there's been a, can you feel it? You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. We can feel it.
Joy and hope rising. Unless it's about a genocide, because the average Democratic voter will not rise up to stop a genocide. No. That's the thing about this whole society is like the good people here on the left. I mean, by that, I mean left of the Republicans, the Democrats, who are welcoming of Dick Cheney's endorsements and very nutrient-rich invitational to their right flank. To their left flank, it's a big old firewall. They want lefties to vote for them, but they don't want to deliver any policies or anything like that. And they consider, like, I think, like this is like a liberals. My project isn't right, but I would love to be able to persuade liberals and conservatives into the powerless, chaotic left that I assign to myself. The side of, because once you tap into the anti-capitalist posture, you're fundamentally cordoning off yourself from power. Once you say I'm anti-hierarchy, once I don't say I'm an anarchist or something like that. These concepts get messy, especially anarchy is one. Not that the application of the principle, but like the common vernacular. People don't associate positive feelings with the word anarchy. The generalized average person, I mean. I'm not talking about like politically aware radicals who are talking about this stuff. I'm also somewhat very ignorant about it, and so I don't want to speak too extemporaneously about it. But anyway, liberals think they're on the left, and not that it's a fight to try to say who's most left, who's like. So the usual disclaimer that all these isms get a little bit messy, and American, especially low information Americans, tend to have very idiosyncratic politics. A lot of it is just their parasocial relationships with the TV and with the news and with the internet and with their phone and maybe within their family or work spheres or their church or something like that. Okay, fine. A big, messy knot to untangle. But to the liberals that experience politics as in opposition to Republicans, to Donald Trump especially, who is a super heinous type villainous person, their opposition to Republicans is all they need to prove that they are the righteous ones, right? Like that's all that matters, is like they're not the Republicans. They're better than the Republicans. And on a lot of issues like abortion and women's rights and, diversity inclusion, although much of the kind of status quo of the liberals would still be, they're okay. They're okay with black people sending bombs. They're okay with black people imposing capitalism, right? Like, or, people of color. So they're not necessarily, but they're never really anti-hierarchy. I will say though, like in, I don't know the year, but it was HR 1 was the first bill introduced. I want to say might have been Biden's first term. It was a voting act, and it had a lot of really good stuff for expanding voting access and ensuring voting rights and preventing stuff, a lot of the hijinks that the Republicans get up to, because the Republicans use gerrymandering, and Democrats will use a lot of these types of things too, but by far it's a Republican project to do voter intimidation. I mean, they openly talk about doing a lot of that. And they tried to pass it. In some cases, a more cynical view of politics, which is grounded in reality, is that something very positive like a comprehensive voting rights bill, HR 1, House Resolution 1, might be supported by a politician who knows it looks good to support it, but is confident it will never pass, and therefore they're safe to say I'm for it, even though they don't really want it to pass. So there could be some of that at play, but a major bill that ensures voting access and funding for voting stuff and gives federal oversight probably over some of it. I don't know all the details, but it was very expansive in terms of the voting, because we got to fix that. Like my whole thing is I'm a big democracy guy. Like, as sloppy as it is, the only way we can make things better that conforms with like the principle that everyone deserves dignity is that everyone has a voice, right? It's a little cheesy, but it's absolutely true. To me, it's about consent. Negotiating consent as a group means that everybody's power should be the same in terms of a vote. And then you consent to someone else having power, because that person will be accountable to the promises that they made or to the mistakes that they might make, which would require accountability to then come at them. Hierarchy is about differentiating accountability, right? So people at the top, that's kind of what my TYT project is about. The rules for accountability are far different for Cenk than they are for me in terms of lying about a worker, you know, using unethical employment practices, and not lying about a worker, lying about multiple workers, about me and my friends, lying about unionizing workers and union busting itself. There's been no accountability for any of that stuff. And the guy put out a book called Justice is Coming. Like, really? So that's just one small example of how hierarchy is genuine, and is similar to like the stuff I was talking about earlier with the Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, that all these guys want to sustain a world where they're held to different levels of accountability for types of behavior. And then it's also their decisions about who below down the hierarchy and what kind of behavior they're held accountable for. And that gets really scary really fast when you look at America's like history of racial terrorism, which was definitely something that can, you know, it's fascinating to learn about if you're into history, and I'm trying to learn about history, and, you know, I'm always curious, but it is heavy stuff. It is really dark, the lynchings and stuff like that. Okay. Wow. This comment is really flying. But what the fuck got me talking about this? I don't remember. Let's just keep going. Oh yeah. I like the yellow hat.
There's been so much talk. Been so much talk about that word joy, and I think it's such a good
joy.
thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So liberals experience their liberalism as in opposition to Republicans, which justifies this battle, because there are big stakes, there are real stakes, and I think like it's valid to start from that position, to acknowledge that a liberal person who kind of would be dismissive of a leftist like myself or something like that is like being on the extreme or the far or whatever the fuck, because they haven't yet stepped off that pew, or they haven't yet left that building of capitalist support. And they might not even realize that they're still upholding these systems of capitalism. And I think that instead of screaming at each other about third-party voting, I have a bunch of thoughts about that conversation with Jill Stein, and everything else has been in the conversation a lot lately. I just used conversation twice there. So I could talk about that again. It's about individualism and validation more than anything else at this point. But I forgot. I fucking forgot. God damn it. Jesus, I need ADHD medication. Boop, 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 boop. So I had to edit that because I forgot what I was saying. But I kind of, just to get back to it, like the joy that they're talking about, the enthusiasm that they're experiencing. And from my perspective, I see a bunch of people, and you also have to remember, people are generally oblivious, and also, especially in America, we're highly conditioned to dismiss other people's pain. We do not look at someone else's pain as our own emergency. We're more likely to look at a rich person slightly losing the rate of growth of their wealth as more of an emergency than pain of another person. I think that's kind of what the application of collective dignity means, or individual dignity, meaning like a world where your hurt is your community's problem. That's the world we should live in. Because if that was the case over enough time, meaning like the cycles of life that would build up from that premise, from that idea, that virtue, people's pain, we would intervene. We would then prevent. I'm not saying turn the world into pillows. So in other words, like, I'm not talking about coddling, but that what does it mean when your community cares enough that when you're in pain, they show up? And that means that that you are protected. And if you have a sense for that, you have increased leverage. This is also related to the whole individuation of everybody, the atomization we have. The feeling that you're not going to be backed up, that someone won't be there when you're in pain. And then, of course, the psychological derangements that flow from a child's experience when they're developing their little brains and bodies and souls, with the idea, with this conception that they certainly is usually subconscious at that age. How are you really like super hyper aware, that you matter and that you deserve to be rescued. And maybe you don't ever get rescued until you have to rescue yourself imperfectly. So all this pain that we're inflicting in Palestine and throughout the world and through our foreign policy and even through the pollution that we cause, the early death that we impose on our own citizens, let alone on all the workforces throughout the planet that our capitalist organizations use, and the coups that we've imposed, and whether these people even know at all. I'm not saying yes or no, they don't know, but we don't care about each other's pain. Sandy Hook is the clearest example of just like, oh, well, yeah, we're still going to let that happen. It upset a lot of people. A lot of people would stop it if they could, but it still happens. So we don't care that much. Not enough to stop it. And the political system won't change enough to stop it, because changing the system enough to stop those shootings means changing the ways that these politicians get corrupted. And that's not in the works. And so liberals aren't necessarily trying to stop any of that stuff. And this is where I see the opportunity. This is what I was saying about the third party kind of connection, is that like, I'd rather spend my time as a lefty, like outside the liberal sphere, coding myself, as I was saying earlier, as a masculine man and as a former liberal. And even if I never said I was conservative. I was raised in like my dad's conservative. So I kind of started from that posture. I've been across that spectrum myself in a fairly interesting and novel way, because I went to the Young Turks to work there, and that was sort of a progressive thing, yet also I don't know if I'd use the word progressive to describe that company. And then being radicalized by employment and stuff, and also Michael Brooks had something to do with me sort of gaining some awareness about socialism and shit. But I would have been open to someone talking about leftism and leftist policies and all this other stuff as soon as, much earlier. But as soon as I kind of heard about it, I was like, oh, geez, like this is shit I think about. Like, why the fuck am I working for you? Like, what's going on with all this? I'd always had thoughts about that, Anyway, so like, to me, there's something that could be more useful than just trying to discipline other leftists into validating your frustration about how powerless we all feel. I would rather be there to sort of like, for those liberal types or conservative types that haven't been paying attention to politics for 30 years the way I have, or are open to being persuaded. I'd be very proud if the show grew enough and I got it to enough of a point where someone said, hey man, you actually, found it kind of annoying at first, but I listened and you persuaded me. You pulled me towards your viewpoint. And that's where I think we should be putting energy into. That's why I like my idea for the podcast, Socialism for Selfish Pricks Like You and Me, is one that says, you're selfish. Well, I'm also selfish. We're selfish consumers. Our society is filled with selfishness because of the social engineering of 19th century capitalists that wanted to sell lots of products. So they engineered a system so that we would be dependent on their profitable sales to us via this market distribution system that creates problems and then solves them by selling you the solutions. A lot of that includes the manipulation of your emotions and your feelings, and like that's through marketing. Marketing is incredibly effective, otherwise they wouldn't spend all that money on it. So to me, pulling liberals into leftyism and shit, not that these words mean, you know what I'm saying, but like most lefties are former liberals. And the thing I'm noticing here to weave this little chunk of what I'm saying, and we'll just jump a couple spots ahead into this video. We're not going to watch a ton more, but if you're a liberal and you're kind of considering all this stuff, by God, if you're listening to my show, thank you so much. It's awesome. But if you're there and you're not really quite sure where you are, just look around your party and that you're not rising up. You are not, I don't mean you personally as an individual, I don't know why I'm making this all of a sudden like pointing my finger at some one person, but I'm saying like it's not about necessarily you personally have to do it, but notice that the liberals are not stopping a genocide. Notice that Kamala Harris screaming, having that convention with multiple right-wingers speaking, multiple Dick Cheney endorsing, sheriffs and other state violence types speaking. They wouldn't give a voice, a 3-minute speech to the uncommitted delegate who wanted to just say something about Palestinian humanity. Pre-approved speech, like not, you know, they would have stuck to the script. They wouldn't even do that. Notice that you're on the genocide side. Notice that. Kamala Harris railed. Is that her? What's a word for screaming at a speech? Rallied? What word was I going for? But the most lethal fighting force, that's demonic. That's fucking evil.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
And the crowd went crazy for it. So if you're on that side of the equation, if you're still in that sort of like, oh, God, it sucks that they're killing all those kids over there, the 20,000 children, and they've stopped counting exactly precisely, and they're ginning up a much bigger war, which is going to get a lot more people killed, a lot more profit made for the corporations that donate money to these politicians, upholding systems of billionaires like Oprah. There are no good billionaires. If we had to rank them, I don't know if I'd put her near the top of that ranking, but there's still no good billionaires, just in terms of the economic or the ecosystem impact they have, the rich, the wealthy have. But if you're on that side, if you're, you know, kind of in that liberal space too, maybe you resonate with some of the lefty stuff. Universal health care is usually something a liberal could support, but maybe they're still not really anti-capitalist, blah, blah, blah. Just notice that you're not stopping a genocide, and that the lady you're all excited to vote for, who I think we need to defeat Trump, right? You know, we have our issues on with the third party thing as I'm talking about, but there's a lot of lefties are talking about that nowadays. But just notice that that the people you're standing next to are cheering on a lady who's going to commit a genocide, and she's not promising to stop it. She's serving a constituency that is for destroying babies. Doctors have been returning from Palestine with reports of sniper wounds to children with bullets that were made by Americans and sent over by Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris probably will be better about it than Joe Biden. But better about it doesn't mean stopping it, because the lefties would stop it. And when you're on the side that wants to stop genocide, like me and others, I want Biden and I want George W. Bush. Like all these people should be in prison. They're war criminals. If you don't recognize that the system of colonial imperialism is being upheld so that they can maintain power over these markets throughout the world, labor markets, in other words, so they can get cheap as labor as possible. It's all about just keeping the hierarchy upheld. So, like I said, it's valid to have a lot of passion within this sphere, but you're also on the side that doesn't give a shit about the lady in charge becoming a war criminal genocider, which is what she's going to become, because she's not going to stop it. And she does have the power. She will have the power to stop it. It's like once that snaps in your head, once that notion clicks, you have to examine the hierarchy. You have to examine that this is a thing that needs to be resisted. I'm not for perfect evenness of hierarchy. I think a forest is a good model of that, and I'll get back to that some other day. Let's keep playing, okay? Let's go for another 17 hours for this fucking long podcast.
That there is a real feeling of optimism and hope, making that comeback, as Michelle Obama said, for this new day.
And it's fucking easier to just be like, I'm inspired by all this wonderful energy, the joy, the hope, the cheer, the blah, 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 blah. But yet, behind the curtain, there's children in Gaza that are underneath buildings, and they're dying of thirst because no one can find them because they can't scream loud enough to get through the concrete. But there's joy and there's hope. And we have Michelle Obama's inspiring speeches to celebrate and cheer about. So it's a nightmare. It's fucking nightmare shit, man. You either assess the situation, including all the harm, or you're in some level of delusion. And maybe you can defend that because it's just easier, and easier in a sense that it's stressful to have to deal with this shit. It's stressful to have to be scared that Republicans are going to take over your fucking body. That's horrifying. You don't deserve that. I can promise you people on my side of the aisle are also on your side with that too, of course, when we get more power here. But these forces are very dug in, and they are not going to let go because it works for the few. All right. I've been made point about 17 times here. Why am I now? The word 17 is in my brain.
That's no longer on the horizon. The new day is actually here. We're in it. We're living it. So let me tell you how this event began. I was on the phone with Joteka Edie, founder of Women Win with Black Women. We're going to be talking.
I want to see Kamala come out.
For Swifties, where?
Swifties.
I see ya.
Hey, Brian Cranston. Jesse.
I hear Chris
Vote for
Rock
Kamala,
is
Jesse.
in the house. Chris, where are you? Chris Rock is in the house.
Chris Rock. It's Chris Rock. Trying to be Chris Rock.
Ben Stiller,
Let's look
Jennifer
at his house.
Lopez.
Let's examine
Where are
their.
you? Chris Rock is in
Unless
the
it's a
house.
hotel. I don't know. I don't want to say anything insulting. I respect Chris Rock. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a bad vibe about that room. Sorry, I don't mean it to be a shitty. It's probably a nice room. Seems fine. It's hard to judge. Uh-oh. More.
Ben Stiller, Jennifer Lopez, Tracy Ellis Ross.
Ben Stiller, look at him. All right. He's in front of his cabinet. I almost said curio. I don't think that's the right word, but he's got cups and stuff. Looks like there might be a sink right behind his neck. Coffee machine. Yeah, some kind of kitchen portion there. I imagine this man has at least a nice big kitchen, at least one.
Jennifer Lopez.
What if someone's inner voice won and they spit at the camera? like that. What's that? No, intrusive thought. That's not. I should. Just like I'm like, what did I just do?
Yes, where are you, Jennifer? Yes.
J-Lo. More like Jenny from The Room. She's in a room.
Tracy Ellis Ross, where are you? Tracy Ellis, where are you?
Tracy Ellis.
Tracy Ellis.
Okay. Look at her necklace. Got a bunch of different colors.
Julia Roberts, where are you?
Julia. Hi, it's me, Julia Roberts. Jeffrey Dahmer. Where's Jeffrey?
Streep is in the
Meryl
house.
Streep. Is this the Eleanor Roosevelt of acting? Is that who is that guy referring to? I almost just said Eleanor Clift of acting.
So glad to have all of you familiar faces and those of you who are not yet familiar.
She's like abusing a servant. Bring me another plum juice.
To all of us. Okay, Brian, so happy to have you here tonight. Brian Cranston.
Oh.
What do you want to say? Why did you want to join
Hello,
us here
Oprah.
tonight?
It's me, Brian Cranston.
I'm just smiling from ear to ear, Oprah. I have never felt this much joy and optimism in a campaign.
Assuming you ignore those babies doing in our war that we're just currently conducting. Jesse.
In a long time. So I'm just so appreciative.
Yo, Oprah. Yo, you want to buy some meth, Oprah? Let's get some. Come on now. Oh shit, man. That's my Jesse.
To be able to bring back that sense of optimism and to
yo, dog, I saw Mr. White on Oprah the other day. Yo, it was crazy, man. It's crazy, yo.
Wash the cynicism and the vitriol and the rancor that bring back that sense.
Look at this flag. Look at this flag background. First of all, they're doing lefty or not lefty. This is not a politics comment, but like angled, like to the left and to the right. I do this with the thumbnails. You guys have noticed that. That's why you clicked on the video. The American flag background. This is the nationalist bullshit. This is not to say this is the problem. I far would rather stop the genocide than using American flag imagery, but this is nationalism stuff. the Pledge of Allegiance is brainwashing children into nationalism. And so many Americans have this deep core childhood thing where they get defensive and they get about the flag. If you say something like you should be allowed to burn it, or you say something negative, it creates this like overinflated patriotism thing, but it's super deeply subconscious because it's children brainwashing we do in America because we're a nationalist psycho society. There's a reason the Nazis were inspired by America's culture. They were looking to become something like us. They just had a whole different continent to sort of deal with. We had a much easier time taking over this continent. America genuinely has probably the most strategically, best positioning and you could hope for on a planet like this, including like its the Great Plains, fertility of the river systems in America. I saw a video about it too. The guy's like, America has a bigger network of navigable rivers than any other place on the planet. But anyway, so like, our Nazi empire started hundreds of years ago. If you include the victims of it as human beings whose stories were worth including in the tale, yes, freedom meant the white people, rich white people were free to kidnap and rape anybody they wanted, kind of, except someone else's white person's victims. You had to respect those boundaries.
And the vitriol and the rancor that just seems to be floating all around Washington. And I hope that we're going to ride this wave into Washington. I'm here to support. I can't be happier than this candidate. I think she's going to be a terrific president.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, she's going to keep things basically the same, but we're not going to stop the Republicans. Which again, there's a lot of good reasons we need to fucking stop the Republicans. They're really scary people because I think they know they're dying off, and they're only going to get worse and more violent and more. Yeah, it's going to be a real messy, weird thing. Trump is such a strange figure. I'm just so curious what the world would be like had he not ran for president when he did, because it would have been like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio or something. You know what I mean? We would have been dealing with these putzes, but Trump has this like necromancer power that it just spun everybody up into zany madness. Uh-oh, I jumped ahead 10. All right, let's jump ahead just a bit and then we're bouncing because Jesus Christ, how much more can I do? Ladies talking. Let's see Kamala come out. We got people in the audience. All right, lady in blue, Oprah. Oh, Meryl Streep. Oh, hello, it's me, Meryl Streep. Well, Oprah, I have a lot to say. Well, that's my Meryl Streep. Oh, there's Kamala. What the fuck room is she sitting in? Come on, Meryl, get a painting, would ya? For God's sakes, even a woodworking mallet. All right. Yep, that's definitely the side of the chair. All right, fine.
That's such an extraordinarily important time in their development, and
we will be burdened by
Oprah,
what.
Thank you.
We will be burdened by what will be. All right.
For hosting this, because I guess if I started a voting club,
I see she's wearing Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses. That's fun. Good job. Hey, what was once old was now new again, right? Is that what they say? All right, that lady looks like she's having a moment. I don't want to try to make fun of somebody having a crying moment. Oh, Meryl Streep talking. Okay. It's been so wonderful here, Oprah. I don't know why my Meryl sounds like Kermit.
To have the privilege to sit in and listen to the testimony of the people here. Hello, President Harris.
Not yet.
Oh shit! Biden crashes like from the ceiling. You know, like when someone breaks through the ceiling and all this dust and shit falls down on her. Ugh. I don't know.
47 days.
47 days, yes.
From my mouth.
I mean, this is a pretty big deal as far as like what this generates in terms of like a big Oprah thing. Like, yeah, this is part of the democratic world and the country we're in. So a lot of people are just gonna take this stuff in here. I am just
room in being a role model is people watch what you do to see if it lines up with what you say. And in that way, the consequences...
Like when you say that you're for universal health care and Medicare for all, and then you stop being for that? When you're okay with relegating tens and tens of thousands of people to death because you're abandoning that, millions more to immiseration and profit hoarding by the health insurance industry and the vampires that run those industries, like that when you say what you're going to say. I don't mind politicians changing positions over time. I think it's like a little bit crazy to the hypocrisy hunting on all that, but Medicare for all is a moral thing. To me, that's like a major thing. It would be such a it would be such a good politics too. That's the thing. It would be so good for the Democrats to push hard for Medicare for all. Do you know how united people would get if they were promised that they could stop at the fucking bills? You don't have to get okay, then I'm going to be done. I'll say this, then we'll got one more. We'll just play it again and then I'll say goodbye. The purpose of we should talk people into Medicare for all just by promising that you'll never get a bill. Your mail, you won't have to deal with the mail. The fear of the mail, something showing up that talks about your rates and all the pays you, all the money that they are extracting from you, denying you for care. Call this number, do 4 or 5 hours, do all this misery that you have to force yourself into, the bureaucracy you have to fight that they designed to be difficult. And there's a word I'm thinking of, I can't think of it, but they make it on purpose stressful so that you give up, so that the stock prices go up. And the hospital, for-profit hospital, I mean, the whole system, not just insurance, but like, yeah, it's okay for people to change their mind and to grow and to have different policies and to even be a little hypocritical. I don't necessarily find that, I think hyper-focusing on hypocrisy is just, to me, that's just a dead end, but okay.
Of this election are directly going to impact the American people and people around the world.
And you should listen to the Winners and Losers podcast, she says. All right, so they stand up.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Vice President. Thank you.
Madam Vice President.
And I want to say, thank you, Madam Vice President. I also want to say, thank you, Joe Taker. Thank you, Joe Taker. Who started the gatherings on Zoom.
Yo, Mr. White. Mr. White, let's go sell some blue, dog. I got to watch that movie. Get some Jesse-isms in my body. Yo, my girlfriend just passed out and died in my bed, bro.
And we're better than this.
Yo, Mr. White, did you happen to be in a room when my girlfriend died in the bed?
We're better. We're better.
Are we?
And we want to create a world where our children will be safe in school again. And as my friend and mentor Maya Angelou always said, when you know better, you got to do better. Thank you. So let's do better and vote for Kamala Harris.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Vote for Kamala Harris, he says. They both just like escape like Batman through the ceiling with the grappling hook. Is this music gonna mess up my copyright? Unite for America. We will have the most lethal fighting force in all the land. Our ability to hurt will be better than everybody else because that's the foundation of the scam of resource extraction and colonial imperialist capitalism. Okay, capitalism is what you would do if you were challenged to destroy a planet in 1,000 years or less. And we're on schedule. It's going to work, and we got to stop it. It's not okay to erase human consciousness from the universe so that Elon Musk can afford to buy mansions in 45 million years. Bad reason to destroy a planet. All right. Well, let's just preview the next podcast. Oh, God. Oh, fuck shit. I got it. Okay. Okay, so I had a bunch of other shit here that we were going to get into. Look at this guy. Oh, yeah. This is this crazy shooting in Letcher County. That's where the Trillbillies are from, so I'm sure they're talking about it. I want to tune in, see what they got to say. How do I get... One of those guys follows me on Twitter. I gotta reach out to them. I got to start doing more stuff like that. So, yeah, we got a bunch of stuff I was going to get to, but I can get back to that. So, my mentor, comedian James Fritz, go listen to the show. We talk about it. We talk about him being my mentor. Makes him very uncomfortable, which is why I enjoy telling him that. And meanwhile, thank you for listening. I hope that was fun. I got a lot of editing, 3 hours and 28 minutes for the half the show. Bye now. See you. Bye. Patreon.com. I'm going to maybe do some more of the audio only talking ones to see if you like those. I'm hoping to sort of settle into some more of a relaxed kind of thing and just like let this verbal chocolate flow from my mouth into yours. I do think I have a nice voice. You know, a lot of people say they hate their voice. I don't think it's the best, but I kind of like it. I kind of think it's good. You know, I think it's okay for me to have some confidence about something. You know, I have the 6'3" of voices, and it's nothing I had anything to do with. You know, that's partially it too. You know, it's just, you know, my accent sucks. Sound like a fucking hot dog salesman. Good night. Bye. See you later. Thank you. Bye.